This is, it goes back to the English. I never lose shoes consistently in English horses, ever. Back in the day, when I just shoed Western, barrel horses, team roping horses, stuff like that, sometimes, I mean, there would be a horse that would, like a head horse, lose a left front over and over and over. It's like, why don't you go to your best local guy and go get some help from your horse shoulder and down, you know?
Exactly.
You know, because I can only do so much.
Let us know how the audio is for you guys if it needs changed. But welcome back to the BioMane Scoop. I'm Cole. We've got co-host Ladd, and our special guest today is a guy out of Lehigh, Utah, Nash Nelson, horseshoer. I feel like we need to talk it up better than just horseshoeer. What would you call? I mean, you're
just a farrier.
Just a farrier.
I'm a shoe salesman. That's
shoes.
what I am.
There you go. Sell shoes.
I just sell, equine.
You got to work a little harder at it than the guy at Foot Locker.
That is true.
Remember, throughout the show, use in your comments hashtag BioMane Live Show. Those of you that are commenting and using the hashtag, that's how we choose our giveaway winners throughout the show. We want your feedback. Leave reviews, good or bad. One day, we're going to have a pile of bad reviews, and we're just going to dedicate a whole show to reading them out loud.
And we will let the names be.
And we will air out our laundry.
Yeah.
One review. We're going to toot our own horn here for a second. One review came in. 5 stars. 5-star review. Sophia Barrow. An amazing live once again. I love how you guys feature special guests, but also have the scoop where it's a scoop of everything, which we're super appreciative for all the questions. You guys are great. Keep it up. I like hearing that because that's one thing we want this show to be is every aspect. Granted, we're going to have a lot of shows to cover every aspect of the equine industry, but that's what I want this show to be. It's not discipline specific. It's not event specific. It's horse specific. And granted, we talk a lot about the mane and tail, talk about the supplements, but we do bring in guests, horseshoe salesmen like Nash, that are honestly, I've known Nash for, I don't know how long we know each other. Not quite a year.
Yeah.
Just shy of a year. Had a couple horses that had some problem feet, and it's amazing. And not to discount the shoer that I typically use, because it's like in any other industry and any other discipline. I shouldn't say discipline because it's for horses, but any other skill set, you can always be better. And it depends on kind of who you go with. Yeah. Who you learn under, who you apprentice under, on where your skill set is. So, do you mind kind of jumping into that? Kind of your
so first off, your guy I'm good friends with, and how cool of him to contact me and say, hey, I need some help.
Exactly.
So that's kind of the same thing as me. I actually got started horseshoeing because we had a lame horse that went to the clinic, and the farrier at the clinic, he totally, they didn't inject the horse, they didn't do nothing. They just changed his feet. No wedges, no nothing, just shoed the horse. And it was like night and day difference, just like that. So that's kind of how I got into it. I remember that horse stepping out of the trailer, and I first saw it and thought, I've never seen anything like that. It was, he did such a good job, you know. So I got real interested in that. But no, your farrier, I mean, he's a great farrier, and he just gets better all the time.
That's what I like. But he's great. And what he doesn't know, on the buckskin horse, it's like you said, he calls you up. He's like, hey, we kind of...
Yeah, sometimes he FaceTimes me, 4 times a week, because, we live far enough away. We can't always be working together. So, and that's,
Is that pretty typical then? So a lot of farriers, they'll have questions. They're not going to be prideful enough to where they're like, I'm not going to let this guy know what my problem is and I can't fix it.
I might make some guys mad on here because I think majority of farriers are very prideful.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it, you get to having a lot of pride in your work and what you do, but a lot of guys don't want to have help. Yeah. And they get kind of stuck in their own little world. In my opinion, for me, and I'm lucky enough, I literally work with, in my opinion, the best farrier in the world. His name's Shane Carter. I mean, he's the top dog. So I kind of, we're team ropers, so I like to compare him he's like Clay O'Brien Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the champ.
Yeah.
He's the man. And everybody knows him. I mean, if you're a farrier, you know who that guy is. He's the man. So I get to go with him quite a bit, and I worked for him for a long time. And but he works at the clinic every Tuesday, and I try to be there. You know, our vet clinic is super good to the farriers too, and helps us a lot. You know, if we need an X-ray or something, I mean, it's like they're on the ball.
Yeah.
No big deal. But so I get to go work with him, and it's like he just sharpens me every single week.
Cool.
You know, I get to watch. You know, like in the point in my career now, like it's even the shapes and stuff that he can make and how pretty they are. I mean, he's just a league of his own. So every single time, you know, that saying that iron sharpens iron, that's how it is with that guy, you know. And then in the same aspect, Fowden coming to me,
Yep.
you know, he's just trying to get better.
Which I appreciate. Like, we've
Yeah.
had great luck with him.
But I would say a lot of farriers, they kind of get stuck that like they get thinking they're the best kind of deal, you know. Like, I'm nowhere the best.
Yeah.
Not even close. And there's always so much to learn, whether that's in my shaping or trimming or fitting or, you know, reading x-rays better or, you know.
How important is, I guess it might sound like an elementary question, but how important is it for you to have x-rays on every horse? Do you try and have x-rays on almost every horse, or is it just kind of problem horses?
You know, I would love if they would x-ray every one of them.
Yeah.
It just takes so much stress off of me.
Yeah.
You know, because what happens sometimes is the horse is going fine, and then let's say I take it over, and in a year something's kind of going funky on it. Sometimes it looks like maybe I've been doing something to it, but if we would have had an x-ray to begin with, and there's holes in the navicular bone, or they have a, you know, let's say, I mean, an x-ray is not going to pick this up, but let's say they have their deep digital flexor underneath their navicular bone is frayed or something, you know, like that wasn't because of me shoeing.
Yeah.
But if we already have that knowledge to begin with, then sometimes we can do things to help that along the way too, and, you know, make it so we can get that horse going longer at least.
And then they're not going to pin it back on the...
Yeah, it's good. And, you know,
it covers your own butt.
We've talked a lot about English. I work on a lot of English horses, like mainly now.
Yeah.
I used to work on a lot of Western horses, but now we work, like I mainly, my clientele is all English. And literally I have an x-ray on every one of those horses. I mean, some of the ponies and stuff that we just trim, like I don't have that, but if they're at all a decent horse, we have x-rays on them. Because they are just such ahead of the ball.
And is that kind of a requirement of yours, or is that the owner saying...
A lot of the trainers and stuff, they just are like, no, we want the best for this horse no matter what. So, and a lot of them get pre-purchased. So
yeah, so you'll have x-rays.
Yeah, I got x-rays on most of them that way.
Yeah.
And I think the Western world's coming into that, but
how far,
man,
are we cutting more corners as the Western world?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
There it is.
Yeah. That, like, I don't care. Like, I might make a lot of Western people mad, a lot of farriers mad. Like, that's the simple fact is English. They're going to buy one horse usually. They're going to spend way more money on it. It's going to stay at the trainers. The trainer's going to ride it once or twice a week. And then you're going to get lessons on it 3 days a week. And, I mean, they focus on that horse. It got pre-purchased. They take care of it. So that's why, I mean, a lot of people ask me, like, well, okay, what's the big difference? I'm like, money.
Yeah.
Money.
You know, they're willing to spend some money on some good horses. And they take it serious, everything about it.
And it sounds like not just up front, it's going to keep going into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like not only putting more up front for the horse, but your monthly bill on that horse for training, shoeing, and all that far surpasses what guys are, I shouldn't say trying to pay, but what your average guy, average team roper, average Western world rodeo type guy.
And, you know,
pays.
we kind of talk about Western a little bit because we're team ropers and some barrel horses and some stuff like that. But, I mean, it is super advanced when it comes into the reining and stuff, too. Because that's the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I do have a reining barn, too, that I'd prefer. I mean, reiners are my favorite. I'd rather shoot reiners than anything. But it's just hard. In Utah, we don't have a ton of reiners.
Yeah.
It's not like going to Texas or Arizona. So we have a lot more English.
Yeah.
English is kind of the big thing here.
Talk, if you will, about pricing, and it doesn't have to be you specific, but kind of farriers as a whole, shoeing for a guy like me that has 18, 19, 20 head at the house, rope horses.
Yeah.
You know, they might be ex-cow horses, cutters, reiners, but they're essentially going to be rope horses versus going to, say, a barn with 18 to 20 English horses, dressage horses. The pricing, does the pricing vary? What causes the pricing to vary other than, you know, are you using more expensive equipment? Are they taking more time?
Just like I said earlier, it's all money. I mean, English, they just want the best.
Yeah.
Whatever the best is, that's what they want.
That's
and
what
whatever
they're
it costs, that's what it costs. They never, I mean, there's never an argument or anything like, hey, that was, you know, like if we had to start putting wedges on a horse.
We laugh because how many times do
there's no arguments. And, you know, and that's what, like my career now, like I only have a, you know, handful of barns. And I went from having, let's say 50 clients, human clients, went from having 50. My phone's blowing up all the time. They lost a shoe. We got this. We have problems. A horse went to the, you know, the vet clinic, something like that. And now I have 4 barns. So I basically have 4 clients now because I just deal with the trainers.
Yeah.
And then,
oh, that's way better than having some of the.
It's so much better. But, you know, they just, a lot of times the trainers just take over. They're like, hey, this is what the horse needs. And like I said, they'll do whatever it takes for their horse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So that's kind of the difference there. But, you know, in the Western world, I keep saying the Western world. I should just say team ropers and barrel horses.
That's kind of the...
Because, and, you know...
Like you said, the reiners, the cutters, the cow horse guys.
Yeah, cow horse guys and reiners for sure.
They're a higher caliber. They're kind of...
Performance.
No expense spared.
You know, and you know, Western pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, I don't do a lot of Western pleasure horses. I used to. I don't love them just because they are so heavy and stiff, and a lot of them have quite a bit of issues and problems and stuff too. But a lot of guys don't like shoeing English horses because, I mean, my most common shoe is a 2 usually.
Yeah.
In the English world.
Good.
And that would be like a double otter and aught on a lot of the quarter horses.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of more of a common shoe.
Yeah.
And then like another thing too, it takes a little bit more time because I'm usually clipping all the English horses. And the reason we do that is we're just trying to get some weight off the nails most of the time. So I'm trying to get them so they want to stay on and keep the foot a lot healthier too.
Yeah.
So it takes, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does take a little bit extra time.
Yeah.
You know, making sure everything fits just right.
How many times do you hear a conversation, or even if you're sure, you're like, you calling to get a new shoe? Hey, what are you, a horse? And the guy, I'm 100. Well, let me call around.
Oh, dude.
You know?
Hey, we need to next time we talk about this is getting I don't know how we could get a candid camera on for a guy getting his horseshoe to a new farrier.
Oh, man.
And then just to see their face and be like, just as a joke, be like, well, not a joke, say, I'm 150. Watch the team roper's face as compared to some of the English world. Team ropers go, I'm out.
Or have him shoe the horse, and then after
and
be
then
like,
tell him.
okay, write him up a bill, hand it to him, and have a guy be like, $150. My other guy was 65.
Would
well,
you?
yeah, that's where a horse was
Would
never
you
sound.
silver shoes? But then like the English person's be like, that's fine, it's great.
Oh, that's so cheap. That's so cheap. 150 in Utah up north is, I mean, that's like bargain shoeing.
Really?
Bargain shoeing. Yeah. And, you know, and I'm not saying, I mean, there's expensive guys all around, all around the world. But, like, if I had to tell somebody, like, hey, you want the best guy? More than likely, I mean, there are some guys that charge a lot of money and they might not, you know, in somebody's other opinion, they might not be the best or whatever. But for a general rule, the guy that's charging the most is the best guy.
Yeah.
You know, in Utah, Shane Carter charges the most, you know, usually. And or let's say has a full barn that is that price.
Yeah.
And it's a big price.
Yeah.
And man, every time he goes up, the rest of us get something out of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. But yeah, pricing, English people, I mean, man, they're just amazing at it. Yeah. They just don't. Western world or team ropers, especially, I mean, down south here, it's funny that guys just don't want to pay it. And I tell a lot of the farriers, I'm like, if you would just go up a little bit, like say, hey, January 1st, hey, I'm going up $25.
Yeah.
Everybody, $25.
Yep.
And whoever drops you, who cares? because there's going to be, if you do a good job, have less clients, going to make more money. Anyways. You know, it's like Clinton Anderson
talking. I was
just
going to say, that's kind of.
It's just the same thing. You know, I kind of got a little flack this year because I went up a ton, and when I went up, I got some flack from some older farriers that are like, I can't believe you think that you're worth that much, blah, stuff like that. And they might not say it to my face, but I've heard around kind of stuff. And I'm like, listen, I'm just making it better for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting better.
If I get this, that means you can start getting this.
If I'm the young guy that's getting this money and you're 50 years old, you should be like, I'm going to double that.
The kid's getting this much. Of
so
course
why
I'm
can't I?
Get more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those guys will be, I shouldn't say getting the scraps, but you're dropping, all those clients are dropping because of price, and then it's got to go to somebody else.
Yeah.
It's good for everybody.
Well, man, I'm like with guys that ride outside horses.
Yeah.
Like if a team roping trainer is anything close to 1,000 or over, they're looking for somebody else to send their horse to. It's like, you realize sending them to a guy for 1,000 to this guy for 1,000 for 3 months, being into that horse $3,000 and having the end product in 90 days is going to be a lot better than sending them to this guy for $500-600 a month. Him being there for 6 months and still not being as good as the other. They just don't.
Get what you pay for is always
it's always that. And a lot of people don't realize too, like, I put so much effort into it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought. When there's an actual problem and it's my fault, like, I don't just blow it off like it's it's nothing. And that's where people got to understand that. And I'd like to say this too. A lot of farriers kind of give up. Like, you hear a lot of smack talking going on, and maybe the outside world doesn't hear it as much as the farrier world does. But I always look at it like this: like, you never know what the guy did behind you. Mm-hmm. To talk some smack, and I've done it. I'm as guilty as anybody, but I try to be pretty good about it because, an old farrier told me once, you never know if the guy's wife left him, if the flies were bad, if the horse kicked him, if the client didn't pay him. You just never know. So don't be talking any smack that way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's really good.
I tell you, like, I think a lot of people need to understand this about farriers too. No one wakes up in the morning and is like, hey, I'm going to go hot nail this guy's horse today. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm going to go cut this one too short. And everybody's got to kind of start from somewhere.
Yeah.
And no one's waking up and being like, hey, I'm going to cripple this bugger.
I'm going to go source some stuff.
Oh, I hate this horse. I'm going to cripple. I mean, I do hate some of them. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I don't purposely wake up in the morning thinking I'm going to do that. So I tell a lot of people, like, farriers necessarily, like, there's some guys that are prideful and don't want to get better, but then there's a lot of guys out there, they might not be great yet, but it's just lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
If they could go with somebody, they would. And if they could get better, they would. But sometimes they don't know how to get with somebody.
Yeah.
They get stuck in this kind of routine of they charge $75. They got to do 8 or 10 a day.
Yep.
If they don't do that, they can't make their payments.
Yeah.
Probably nervous for them. They're probably nervous to go ask someone better than them, saying, hey, I need a little bit of help.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people just, I hope that kind of gets through to a lot of people. Like, they're not trying to do a bad job.
Yeah.
It's lack of knowledge most of the time. Once the knowledge is there and the skill, there's a lot of guys that can be great farriers. And there's a lot of great farriers from that.
Yeah.
So
this has been is there any questions so far? Because I feel like we're going to be able to go on, and this is going to be a fun one because I've got a lot more.
I'm telling you now, from pre-purchases, I'm getting x-rays on every
horse. You're an idiot not to.
Yeah.
Every one of them. You never know if they have
what they've got.
So many things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could easily be prevented rather than letting it just prolong and become an issue later on. I shouldn't say irreversible, but takes a lot more time to reverse.
And then is it just a Band-Aid effect from there too? Because it's like...
Yeah, a lot of times. For sure.
Which is going to cause long-lasting damage.
And I'm a little bit funny. I bought a lot of horses that were not sound because I feel like my wife works for the vet clinic and I have a great relationship over there. And then I can shoe them. And so, if they got some problems, like a lot of horses get a lot of deep digital flexor pain from maybe negative palmar angles. And it's like, man, that's such a simple fix for me. And this is going to make a lot of farriers mad right here, but we wedge a lot of horses.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it makes them so much better. And a lot of guys will be like, well, that's not how in the wild or this or that. They weren't, they don't have
Mustangs
wedges.
Are starving in the wild too. So
yeah.
I hate
I'm like, you know what? We shoot performance horses.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of farriers too, if they would go ride some performance horses
And
any kind of performance horses.
See how they move their feet. See what
go get in some deep sand and have a long toe on one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really going to piss some guys off right there.
Yep.
But hey,
that's actually a good point, because a lot of people probably used to drive an old. I'll compare it to a truck kind of with square wheels.
Yeah,
it's just going to be unsmooth. But then when you get on a performance horse, which we can compare to a Ferrari, whatever kind of car you like, it's like, well, a huge difference.
What a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, and go ride any horse in some decently, you know, just kind of deep sand, and shoe them with a fetching long toe and see how they move.
Yep.
You know, and I'm going to go on about this too a little bit. So that's the number one thing we see at the vet clinic is long toes. The number one. And it makes guys so mad. But I've seen some farriers that are competition farriers. I mean, hell of good farriers. Amazing. And just because they're competition farriers doesn't mean they don't still have the feet tight. Mm-hmm. You know, and they have them tight. Their shapes might be different than maybe what we do to try to get the toe back a little bit. But their feet are brought together tight, and their horses can still move. And I think there's a big problem with a lot of my industry or our industry, that guys get like, they don't understand that they'll be running them forward and they don't think they can tighten them up. They're like, oh, that's just how the horse's foot is. It's like, no, go get some of these really legit guys and they can show you how tight and brought back and good the foot can be and healthy.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things, I don't know if you know, like toe clips, for instance, that's like a huge controversy in our industry. Huge, because it's a lot of times if a guy toe clips, then they don't feel like they can bring him back enough. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think there's a time and a place for everything. But I've seen some guys that can toe clip and their feet are so tight and brought back, and then I see guys that toe clip and they just miss the boat completely and their feet are just run forward, and those horses can't even get out of their own way. So I just think that, you know, I think a lot of guys go get some help. Like really go to the vet clinic. If your vet is not helpful, then, you know, go find another vet.
Yeah.
Because our vets, like I think a lot of guys don't like working for vets. You know, they have a bad rap too. And man, our vets, instead of telling us what they do, they ask us like, hey, what can we do together, kind of a thing. It's such a better relationship.
That was going to be, excuse me, one of my next questions is how do you kind of, if you're not educated on it enough, how do you kind of evaluate, other than soundness in your horse, evaluate the job that your shoer's doing, like the quality of work, that how good he is? And I think you kind of answer that as work close with the vet. Yeah,
work close to the vet. And, you know, man, I've seen some guys that, I mean, I've heard people say all the time, like, hey, this guy, like sometimes, like, let's say the clinches are long and the finish isn't great and stuff, but my horses are never lame. I go get a yearly checkup on them. They do great. I mean, that farrier is doing his job right there. That farrier is doing awesome. You know, sometimes I don't care what they look like so much. I care about safety and soundness. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the two things.
What risk do you run by not shoeing well?
You know, there's a lot of risk right there. A lot. I mean, we can go from, you know, arthritis to tendon strain or tears to, you know, sometimes even interference. Mm-hmm. You know, we get a lot of horses that hit heel bulbs. That's kind of a big thing. Yeah. You know, I tend to try to blunt up my hind feet quite a bit, especially in the English world, because they'll get heel bulbs a lot. Yeah. So I want to shoe for safety. Yeah. You know, and I don't want the lady that's riding it to go get ready to go over a jump, hit a heel bulb, horse falls down, hits the jump, lady breaks her neck. Yeah. You know, I try to think about all those kind of things. So, yeah, I'm trying to shoe for safety all the time. Safety, function, soundness. Yeah.
If you're transitioning from, like, if a person's going to switch shoers in the transition of time and you're going to re-correct a horse, what would you say, like, on average, it's going to take for you to correct that horse to where you want?
That's a great question. It just kind of depends on the horse. But one of my favorite things that farriers will say is like, hey, like, it's going to take me 4 or 5 shoeings to get this corrected. I'm like, dude, freaking lop some foot off that sucker and bring it back. Like, get with the program here. Huh. You know, I'm not saying I'm going to fix it in 1 or 2 shoeings. Like, the foot's going to get better, but you're going to noticeably know a difference from the time I shoe, or like from when we start to finish that day. Yeah. You know, And a lot of that, like,
Well, I noticed the difference on that buckskin horse.
yeah,
That first time you came down
Boom.
and you and Justin got doing that, the way
No,
not
and-
only the way it looked, but the way he walked off.
yeah.
It was like,
And we didn't even have an X-ray after.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because like that's one of the beautiful things about a lot of times when I'm working on lame horses, we're at the vet clinic. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's an X-ray machine right there.
Yeah.
We're knowing exactly, and we'll put thumbtacks in the foot. I mean, we're looking at 100% everything. I mean, we're going through the whole horse's foot right there.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what you can get done. You know, and like I feel like I just need to keep thanking people, but it's like Shane Carter. I would never know how to do any of that without that guy.
yeah.
You know, he's the king of it. So, yeah, no, I that's a great question. I can't believe how many guys I hear all the time, or people will be like, "Yeah, my farrier's like really working on this horse. He's, you know, this is the 4th time. He thinks here in another 4 times we'll have this foot backed up and underneath himself." I'm like, "Oh my
Good, I haven't used the
goodness,
sucker in
Is
a
it-
year already. It's only another 6 months.
yeah."
Let's give some away. Bryce, who
Got
are we
you off
giving it
guard.
to? You know what the air horn means by now.
It
It means
hey, I didn't jump that
Black
bad.
Bull. Yeah, you jumped pretty good.
Dude, I didn't feel like I did.
Just a little hop this time. We have a question from Taylor Robson. We'll get to it, but she'll be our winner for
Hey,
today.
Taylor. She'll be our winner?
Yep.
Okay, Taylor. What do we get, Bryce? Oh, we got to... No, we're good right there.
Watch that Dr. Pepper. You
Yeah.
just
Detangler. Taylor, we're going to be sending you a 2-pack of our detangler. For those of you that haven't tried the detangler, I'm going to compare it to like shoe and English horses.
first of all leave it in the. Don't put your address in there for everyone to see it,
Yeah.
Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor, DM us your info.
DM.
DM it. Don't put it in the comments. But I'm going to compare our grooming line kind of to shoe and English horses
Yeah.
compared to shoeing a team roper's horse.
Yeah.
Like, it's an expensive product. Like, we didn't make it to be a cheap.
You get what you pay for.
You do. And
100%.
like, that's, I mean, I'm biased about it, and maybe I'm a little bit arrogant about how good it is, but until you use it, granted, like I said, I'm biased, but like until you use it, you can't knock on it.
Yeah.
And I know when you look at it and you look at the price of it, you're like, I can go buy mane and tail for this much, or I can just go buy some swab for this much. That's fine. Go do that. But until you try the good stuff and see the difference in the hair, see the quality, just the softness. I mean, we spent a lot of time on it. I'm really proud of it. And that's how I would compare it.
Good.
On the trials, I put it. I liked it enough to put it in my beard.
Yeah. Well, shoot, every night that I brush
It
out,
looks, I mean, it looks good, you know?
Well, no.
Man, it just
when we were
cut that stuff right off, you know?
when we were doing the trials for, I had one down to here. It was pretty.
I use it in Harper's hair every night when I'm brushing it out.
Yep.
That's my 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And she's got not thin hair. It's thick, but it's really fine. But slap a bunch in the hands, run it through it, and that brush just glides through. Smells great. Feels great.
Yep.
Anyways, we use it on people too. So, okay, what was Taylor's question?
So this is for you, Nash. She says she has a barrel horse that has a lot of strain on her DDF, just the way she's built and stands. The vet mentioned round shoes, and she was told with half round shoes the horse would lose some traction. Have you dealt with this before, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so half round shoes are a little bit tricky with traction that way. Luckily, you still have the hind feet, you know, so you could still put some sort of traction shoe on the hinds. The other thing you could always look into is, I mean, this goes back into English. Mm-hmm. We drill and tap a lot of horses, and they make all sorts of different taps.
Help 'em know it.
Or different studs. So drilling and tapping for Western that doesn't know.
Team ropers like what?
Team ropers, yeah, seriously. So sometimes, like let's say eventer, they're going to go out on the grass or jumping horses or, you know, whatever. And they're going to show in different footing. So we're going to, you know, drill and then we tap the hole and then they can put a stud in themselves. We actually put a little piece of foam in there so they don't get dirt in it. They have a little cleaner tool and then they can put the stud in and then
Almost
that way
like
they have
putting cleats on them.
yeah, like putting cleats on them.
Yeah.
So it's cool because, like, I mean, I've heard some barrel racers, some great barrel racers that, like Sue Smith, for instance. She's an amazing barrel racer from Idaho, made the finals. She is an amazing farrier.
Really?
She shoots horses so well. Yeah.
That's cool.
Super, super good. You know, I can't remember. We'd have to ask her to see like which rodeo it was, but she goes to this rodeo. It rains, gets slick. She goes out there, puts ice nails in her horse's feet. You know, because she knows how to do it. Pops out the nails, puts ice nails in it, runs her horse, wins the rodeo. Everybody else turning out. She's a cowgirl. She's gonna go get it done right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good story.
That
But
is cool.
what I would say with that, with the deep digital flexor, definitely work with your vet and make sure that you're doing everything you can to get it off. You know, to relieve that tendon, because I mean, whether that's, you know, some sort of frog support, you know, making sure that it has a little bit of lift to it, or a wedge, or because I don't know, without an X-ray to look at that horse, it's hard, or to work with their vet.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that so, like, work with your vet.
Yeah.
Farriers, you know, there's a lot of vets that want to throw you under the bus. Get a new vet, get a different vet you want to work with.
Exactly.
Get somebody that's a partner, you know.
Yeah.
But the half round shoes they're great. You know, we've done a lot of that. The other thing too, I mean, there's a lot of rim shoes out there that have a lot of breakover too. And if your farrier's handy, which most guys are, they can help with a lot of that. They know how to, you know, make them round up a lot more to help with that. So that's kind of what I would do. And then there's also the option of drilling and tapping, or more traction on the hinds, depending on how the horse runs.
Talk about a rim shoe.
Yeah, so rims are a shoe that's fully fullered, so it has a rim all the way around it, and some of them are all the way around, or some are like an eventer, and eventers are made so you can drill and tap them. They're not a fully rimmed shoe.
Like an Avanti would be a rim shoe.
Avantis, is that what your dad uses? Yeah, so Avanti, I can't even tell you. I've helped my apprentice right now put some on his dad's horse once, but I don't really use those, so I don't 100% know. No, I don't think I'd really call those a rim, but I do think they have decent traction.
Decent traction.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So.
And if people that know what the ice nails were, it is just like Cole said, it's just a cleat on the shoe.
Yeah, so just from the nails. So
Yeah,
like they're made to, you know, for a guy to go cowboying in the ice or something, you know, or beating.
So when you're hammering that nail in, you're not necessarily tapping die in those. You're just nailing those in, and they got a little more head.
Yeah, they got a little more head. Now you got to remember with those is they can wear out if they don't have some sort of tungsten in them, or you can get a negative palmar angle from them because they're long and they're going to rock the foot back.
That was my next question: is do you have to, when you're done using them for that event? I mean, if they're standing in their stall on those cleats and they're not set correctly,
yeah, it's tough.
What issues do you have there?
Yeah, you can have. Yeah, definitely, you could have some issues.
Can you imagine how much if you were to take a week and a half, however, because Pendleton's on grass.
Yeah.
And I know most of those guys are doing that.
Yeah.
You would be busy.
Yeah, so there's farriers there. So I got Quinn's horses ready, and we did a couple little things for his, and we drilled and tapped some stuff for his too. And then Quinn also can shoe horses, so he pops out the nails. I gave him a bunch of ice nails. We actually gave him mud nails. Mud nails are a little fatter, not so sharp, and he had no problems there. It was great. But cool. I think there's guys there that just do that. They're just either drilling and tapping, or they're putting ice nails in them for those guys, is what I heard. I've never been there, but yeah, I'm sure I've heard that there's a couple farriers sitting there waiting to help.
Before they get them back in the trailer and have to head out.
Yep.
Yeah. Put them on when they get there and take them
Well,
off when you leave.
Funny, Quinn, he just left them in on Hemi. They were just in. He just let them wear down.
He's like, I'm good.
Yeah, horse.
They'll work in the dirt.
That horse is so dirty tough, man.
Dude.
Dirty tough.
Every one of his head horses is
So tough.
ignorant.
And you said that's who he took to Pendleton?
Yeah, it was Hemi.
That's who those guys are usually taking up there, those on the grass. It's
just those.
And that horse got rode by a couple guys too. I think Red rode him, and
I think so.
Yeah, that horse is unbelievable.
One question that I could see arising from this past question is, what's in the question? It was DDF. Nash called it deep digital flexor. Help them understand that.
Okay, so your navicular bone. So a lot of people will say like, oh, it has navicular disease. Okay, so what is navicular disease? I mean, that's like a huge question. That's like when people say that. Sometimes
I feel like that's a default for so many things. Oh,
Yeah.
he's pre-navicular.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Okay,
You
so
know,
do we need to
so-
nerve him? Well, no, he's not really a candidate for it yet. Well, then why are you even calling him?
Yeah, so
Navicular?
this is what's funny is I would say, and I'm not a vet. I wish we had Dr. Beck on here.
Let's do it.
You know,
Let's get
something. Yeah, we need
let's
to get
get him
somebody
down
here that I think it'd be awesome
We
because
could get Justin too.
you got to remember, like, that guy's my partner in crime when
Yeah.
it comes to this. He's the one
Yeah.
that's teaching me and helping me and letting me understand what's going on. So I'm not a professional at that, but your deep digital flexor runs under the navicular bone.
Yep.
You would not believe how many horses get pain just from it being lack of lubricant or too tight, like too down,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, not saying that there's a lot of horses that have holes or changes or a spur
That are
or
causing wear on those- on
arthritis.
that
Yeah, if they have a
navicular bone.
spur, man, it'll sit there and rub on that tendon.
Oh, yeah.
Bad. So, navicular disease is a really hard one for me. I'm not saying it's not something, but there's so many things that we don't even know. I mean, even with an x-ray that you can't even tell, or an ultrasound.
Yeah.
They have to go get an MRI a lot of times.
Yep.
If there's any fraying underneath the navicular bone, we can't see it unless they go get an MRI.
MRI, yeah.
So that we've learned so much. I mean, I can tell you 10 horses right now that we battled and battled of wedges, no shoes, this, that, injections. Can't get them right, can't figure it out. They get an MRI, and their deep digital flexors frayed underneath the navicular bone.
Just a
We-
ballpark. What does that cost? Because people are on the fence about doing it and trying to be cheap
I
on it.
couldn't tell you exactly how
Okay.
much that costs. I wish I knew. I don't know 100%, but MRIs, I mean, they're amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool at those. I mean, we got to see one the other day that was all it was. The guy, I wouldn't even call the guy was hot nailing it because there's a Western pleasure horse, and there are like some of them. I mean, any horse. There's horses that are super tough and super sensitive.
Yeah.
All around. This guy wasn't even hot nailing them, but he was kind of crowding the lamina with his nails. Really pretty handmade shoes. It was, I mean, really pretty job. But he just was a little bit coarse, and they couldn't figure it out. They'd squeeze on the nails, nothing. But what was happening is that finally went and got an MRI. They pulled the shoe off, and they could see right at the base of the foot where that, like the inflammation from his nails, and that's what it ended up being. The horse was lame because of nails.
Really?
Yeah. And I wish we knew who the farrier was. And I don't know, maybe Shane contacted him or not, because I think that guy would like to know.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
hey.
And it's not
Calling
him chewing ass.
No,
It's,
for
hey,
sure.
Listen, I know.
Man, that horse's foot was tight. I mean, its medial side was so tight. So, that guy was doing, I mean, he had little nails in there. He was trying his best.
Yeah.
But man, me as a farrier, if somebody else saw that and got back to me, I'd be like, oh, yeah, that sucker's a bugger, to get done, and be nice to know.
Nice to know what was causing it.
Yeah, but it was cool. We would never know that.
Without
Never
the
know that
MRI.
without an MRI. Yeah.
So are a lot of these problems tied with genetics, or is there a certain pedigree that has more
Yeah,
problems
for
than
sure.
others?
Like,
For
what
sure.
horses do you know have terrible feet,
Uh-oh.
pedigree-wise,
I don't know.
in your experience?
I don't know, man. Because that's so hard. Because
Do you
sometimes
see,
a stud. Because let's say, who was Diva out of?
Jerry?
Jerry Lee. Okay, so Jerry Lee passed on a ton of crooked legs.
That's right.
I mean, he's a crooked leg throwing sucker.
Yeah.
Okay, and they could perform and turn like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, you cross them on a certain mare, and the mare takes more. They take after the mare more, or
Yeah.
something like that. So to pin down a horse that says like, "Hey, this thing had a lot of this or that," I just
It's
don't
too
know.
tough.
Yeah, and I shoe so many. Like the English world, I don't even know those studs.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 100% interested in that. I just like to shoe them.
If you were to go discipline-wise, what discipline has, and not necessarily money spent or any of that, what discipline of horses has consistently better feet?
Oh, better. I was going to say worse is Western Pleasure.
Western Pleasure would be worse. That's
The
what I would have
worst.
guessed. Yeah.
The
They're
worst,
just-
and it's just
They're
the problem with Western Pleasure and
Team ropers are all like, oh, thank heavens.
yeah, Western Pleasure
Oh,
horses.
dude.
I want everybody to have a picture in their mind, like picture doing slow reps, like as slow as you can, max all the
Yeah.
time. That's how they are.
That's-
Picture them just so, like just
On the muscle, right?
yeah, like it is just
and not like hot on the muscle.
No,
but
no,
just
no,
so
not like that, yeah.
bound and tight, almost like a bodybuilder that's so big that he can't. There's no flexibility.
And
Like I feel like that's kind of
because
what
when they
they're
get
doing.
tears and stuff, I'm like, how did they tear their deep
They're
digital
not-
flexor?
they're
Or how
not
did they do? Because they're going so
straining-
slow.
Yeah, but
How'd they do it? It's because
the
the strain is just so tight, and
Yeah.
man, and they're so tight to get under, and so there's a lot of problems there. But in the same sense, a lot of Western pleasure clients, the actual humans are amazing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a hard fine line too. You want to work for people that have your back and are amazing. It's just the horses are tricky.
Yeah, and I don't ask that question. I guess I should clarify. I don't ask that question to make a discipline sound worse or
no, for
better.
sure.
It's just out of
For sure.
curiosity.
The best feet, Arabs,
Really?
hands down.
See, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, hands down. As long as they don't have a club foot, if they take care of them when they're young and cut their check ligament, then
That's got to be a genetic deal. I would.
that's a
just
genetic for sure.
Just off the bat.
But man, if I ever had, and I'd say third if they're trained and good, mules.
Oh yeah.
Mules are the easiest. Sometimes I shouldn't say they have the best feet. Maybe that's not the best, but like my dad has a mule and he'll lift his own foot up for you. He's so just light.
Yeah.
And that's how Arabs are. They're just so light. As long as they're, we kind of, in the Western world, we kind of think they're crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
But man, a trained one's a trained one.
Oh yeah.
And if the trainer takes good pride in keeping up with their feet and everything, then they're so light.
Huh.
I
would have never guessed.
yeah, it's so
Do you
much.
think it's because they're light body? They're not putting
Yeah,
strain
so
and
their chest is real narrow,
they're
stuff
not
like
putting
that.
a lot of bulk down on those feet.
Yeah, and and a lot of them, because they get a lot of packages. I don't know if you know what a package is on a Arab. I can't speak too much about this because I worked with them for a little bit, but I don't remember a lot of it. But they'll do leather pads and wedges and stuff, and it's all for action in the knee.
Okay.
And they're trying to make them.
Oh,
It's like a. Is it a
Because when they
Frisian?
run-
What's the big black horses?
Frisians and illusions.
Yeah, like when they're
I would say Frisians.
not Frisians. What's the one like Young Living? What do they have?
Oh, Persian.
Pertrons, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like the
Pertron.
big pulling horses.
Yeah.
Perch.
So they'll have these big weighted shoes on them.
Yeah.
And the what they're getting that for is the action. They're wanting them to really lift those legs up.
Gotcha.
And same with
Because all the pictures you see of Arabians, usually their heads up
yeah,
and their knees,
and they're just
and their knees are just
high stepping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of times.
Saddlebreds probably do the same thing.
Yeah. So a lot of it's genetics and how they've been trained and great trainers, and then there's a lot of the farrier. They're going to put toe weights in them and pads and they have a certain length. I think they got to be 5 inches. And maybe I shouldn't even say numbers because I don't know 100%, but yeah. But Arabs for the most part, best feet. So
would've
yeah,
never guessed.
so good.
It's interesting.
Glad we asked that.
Yeah.
We have and I couldn't tell you a lot of the, warm bloods and stuff, what their actual breeding is, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say even warm bloods, but the English world, a lot of, like jumpers, I don't know. There's a lot of different jumpers. There's quarter horse jumpers and stuff,
Yeah.
but a lot of them have pretty dang good feet.
Are they in the English community, at least the barns you shoot for, are they as big on, because I don't know, are they as big on pedigree as the reiners and the cow horse guys?
Yes and no.
Or is it
It's so
mainly-
funny. English, they can spend so
'Cause
much.
there's a lot of cross stuff
So it's
going
so
on, right?
funny. They wait to. Those buggers are like when they buy them, they're trained. They're older. It's not uncommon for a person to buy a 10-year-old, and it's a young horse to them, or to us, because a lot of them don't get broke till they're 4. They might get a saddle on when they're 3 and kind of get tooled around for a month or whatever, but then after that they don't get broke till they're 4, 5, 6. I know a lot of 6-year-olds because they want them to mature and
Yeah.
their bodies to mature and they don't want them to break down. They try to be smart about that, but I also think here in Utah, a lot of them are getting broke earlier. At least put 30 days on, lightly, just because they're figuring out when they're 6 that they're
A handful.
a handful, and they're
You got an
big
adult
and they're
size-
strong.
You got an adult-sized horse that you're trying to
And
sell.
like a lot of something I didn't understand about the jumping world is that how talented those horses are and athletic. So you wait till they're 6. When I say a handful, like you can kind of muscle around a quarter horse. You're not going to muscle around to one of those 6-year-olds. And think about this too, like a lot of the best head horses, and even heel horses or calf horses, they're a little kooky, or barrel horses.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They're kind of a little bit that way. Jumpers are the same way. You want a high level jumper, they're a little quirky. They're a little funny about stuff. I mean, the owner's usually holding them, or the trainer, and things are a little bit, but they're an athlete. You know, so those horses
Makes sense because like there was like there was a horse channel I used to watch, and like they do interviews. They're holding that horse and it's just dancing all around.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, get a hold of that horse right now.
Yeah, that's how we think. Like I lived at one of the highest end jumping barns in Utah. I mean, this lady breeds the best. I mean, she's amazing. And we lived there and we helped take care of stuff for like 4 years. Free rent. We fed every morning. We fed on Christmas. We did all the stuff. It was a lot. There's 40-something horses there. And that lady's horses, like we couldn't lead any of her young ones 2 at a time. And it drove me nuts. But now I understand when a couple of them are getting ready to, you know, like they're good enough to almost go to the Olympics and stuff. I'm like, I just was so naive. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just look at our quarter horses like, hey, you better be good. I'm going to walk you. You know what I mean?
I will twitch you.
Yeah. That's how I feel about it. But,
Yeah.
you know, those horses, sometimes if you get them too toned down, they're not going to use their natural natural instinct to go do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
They got to be a little,
They
got to be a little flighty on it, you know, something.
attitude.
Yeah, I learned a lot of that. You know, or even like some of the eventers and stuff, like it's amazing the shape they're in. My horses are not in shape compared to those.
Yeah.
I mean, them guys will have a track around their rings and stuff, like a big track. And sometimes, I mean, they're going to go around that track for, 40 minutes straight.
Just loping.
No, fast, pretty fast.
Going.
Yeah, not running, but I don't know what they'd call that.
Yeah.
But
wind sprints.
High
For,
low
wind
percent.
sprints. Wind sprints for a
wind
horse.
sprints.
Wind sprints for
You
a
know,
horse.
they're going to go get on that free walker and do a couple 5-10 miles a day, stuff like that. I mean, they're in shape. Yeah.
That's cool. So it kind of sounds like every discipline, I'd say every person's a little ignorant towards other disciplines.
For sure.
Because we look at it from our point of view, it's like, well, our horses don't do that, but there's a purpose for that.
Yep. Because some of my English clients, they're pretty amazed at what our horses can do at such a young age.
Yeah.
It kind of amazes them. But one of the things you were talking about was price and stuff with them. When they're young, it's amazing that they won't spend a lot of money on a 2-year-old jumper. Mm-hmm. Like they want to see what they're going to be.
They want to see them
4 or 5. It's not
matured
quite
out.
like ours where you go to the sale and the yearling sale and you're going to go buy one for $150,000 and it's pretty freaking sweet. It's not quite the same. I'm not saying they don't have that, but we're at least in Utah where I see it, a lot of the money gets made from 6 to 10.
They let them kind of physically mature out.
People want to see what they're going to be. Yeah. It's a little different than the Western, our world, where like the reiners, sometimes the most money you're going to make on a reiner is their yearling.
Yeah.
That's sometimes, I mean, unless they're a freak of nature and they go do it, but a lot of times you're best to just get rid of them suckers right quick.
Yeah.
A little different.
So they're kind of more into the finished project of a horse.
Yep.
And we're a little more into the project that we're going to be able to make this much.
Yep, for sure.
It's a different way.
It's just a different,
Way different, but it's cool.
Yeah.
We can't knock that.
No,
Because
that's
they're not shying towards $250 a shoe horses. We're still just.
That's just like $250 is cheap for them, bud. Talk about the difference in variety. I guess we kind of touched on it, but help people in your own way, I guess, understand how many types of shoes there are in different applications. I mean, we could talk for hours and hours on that.
Hundreds of applications and different things.
But like, bring it into perspective. Like, yeah, there's different sizes, but there's also different applications. Like we talked about the nails. We've talked about putting
Boreum and drill and tap and
drill and tap. I was going to say cleats.
so there's hundreds of it. I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's a lot of guys that just hand make shoes. That's it. Mm-hmm. They don't have any other hobbies. They make shoes and they make whatever you need for that horse. I mean, they're unreal. They're amazing. I personally team rope. Mm-hmm. So I'm not quite, like I said, I'm a shoe salesman kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to use factory shoes. That's me. That's how I do it. But there's hundreds of different kinds of shoes. I mean, if you shoe your own horses and you're not super handy, you literally can get on. There's a website called Well Shod. They have everything. You can get on there and almost find the shoe that looks like your horse's foot that you wouldn't even have to modify very much, that already has the rolled toe or already has, something in it that you need, and boom, you could do it yourself. You could put it on. That's how many applications there are.
Cool.
There's so many of them. But usually I tend to have let's see, I carry a front and a hind in a plain pattern, and then I carry a hind clip because I like to quarter clip everything. I don't like side clipping. Mm-hmm. So like any of my jumpers and stuff, if they're going to have clips, they're going to have quarter clips usually. So
Help them understand the difference.
So side clips are farther back on the shoe. Quarter clips are farther forward. And the reason I do that is I just feel like side clips sometimes get to putting pressure where they're not supposed to have it. And there's a lot of horses I don't clip.
What's the benefit of the clips?
So like for instance, if you have a wedge in summertime, if you don't put clips on them and they have a wedge and they wear a size 2, they're going to push it out of that. Gotcha. They're going to just lose their shoe by stomping flies. Yeah. So what a clip is made for, I mean, there's a lot of things that a clip helps a lot.
A clip typically comes with a little bit of angled shoe, a little bit of wedge.
No,
typically?
No, we put the wedge on it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they might make some wedged
But
aluminum
meaning
with
that's
a clip.
the application for a clip shoe is something that you're putting
No,
on.
not even that. The number one thing for a clip is to take the weight off the nails.
Okay.
You're trying to help the nails.
Yep.
So you like very seldom will you ever see a horse that's, I would say, a size 3 and above without some sort of clip on. Depending on how heavy the horse is and everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, guys get away with it and can do it, but they might only do them every 4 weeks. Like they're kind of staying on top of them.
Yeah.
But I'm a kind of like in the wintertime, man, we sometimes go 8 to 10 weeks because I want to trim some foot off them.
Yeah.
I like to get new nails in it. And in the summertime, it's 6 to 8. It just kind of depends. But you go 8 weeks on a horse that wears a size 3 with no clips, he's gonna beat up your nails quite a bit and shift that shoe without a clip on there.
Yeah.
So,
do you say you've got a horse that just needs, you got a troubled foot, you got issues, it's one of those like we talked about earlier, you're going to let him go 6 weeks. The shoer saying, I can have them done in 4 to 5 shoeings. You can fix them a lot sooner, in your opinion. If you could put them on a supplement that grows foot, do you see benefit to that?
So, yeah, I do for sure, because there's some horses that really could use a hoof supplement.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, don't give your horse anything unless I tell you to. Mm-hmm. If I'm telling you to do something, then do it. If I don't tell you to do something, don't put any magic coat on it. Don't put nothing on it. I don't want anything on it. Don't feed them nothing. Let me tell you, but there are a lot of times that horses just don't get, especially as they get older, they need a hoof supplement for sure.
To help grow that.
Yeah,
foot.
but a lot of times, I mean, we see them in the vet clinic. More times than not, their foot's too long already. Mm-hmm. Usually, and it's funny, I hear it goes back to that saying of guys saying, well, I can do it in 4 or 5. So usually how it goes is I say, we do a lot, we have an x-ray, we get a lot done the first time, and I say, hey, I want to see you in 4 or 5 weeks. And I never do that. Usually I'm a 6 to 8 week guy. I like some foot on them. But I can't do everything sometimes the first time, but dang sure that second time their foot looks pretty dang good. Yeah. I've got it almost where it needs to be right then. And then after that, they can go 8 weeks. It's not a big deal, or 6 weeks, or whatever it is, depending on the weather.
Yep.
And then we can kind of keep going longer and longer, or whatever that horse needs.
Cool.
So if a client hears 4 to 5 weeks, in their mind they should be, oh, that's just job security for them.
Yeah.
Just job
and
security.
I would say this too. Every farrier is different, but if you're the person that's like, no, even if my farrier says, hey, there's nothing to take off your horses, and you just think because it's 6 weeks they need to be done, or 5 weeks or whatever, don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Quit being dumb. Listen to your farrier. Because what happens a lot of times, like a lot of white line and stuff here in Utah, it'll happen because of getting them done too often. We have nothing to trim off, and think if you have nothing to trim off over and over and over, and you're just putting them back in the old nail holes, or you're trying to fish new nail holes or something like that, man, white line, it just wants to happen like that. And white line disease, for anybody that doesn't know, is bacteria that eats at the lamina. The lamina is the white line, and it's a huge common problem around the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, and in some places it's way worse than Utah.
What's the best way to prevent that?
There's a lot of ways, whether that's, I like to do a lot of copper sulfate. We put a lot of copper sulfate either with, some sort of clay or dental impression or something of that nature. And then letting the horse grow some foot, put them on a hoof supplement. Mm-hmm. That's when a hoof supplement to me, if they're getting a lot of white line, like they need to grow some more foot. Because if the foot can grow faster than the bacteria can eat it, then you're winning.
You're winning.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of times we have to resect it. And resecting it means we take the hoof wall out and let it get air, and air will kill the bacteria. So, but a lot of white line happens too from bad stalls.
Yeah.
Bad care. Yeah, there are sometimes in the barns, they're getting cleaned and they're doing the best they can, but sometimes horses are just pigs.
Yeah.
They're going to go poop and they're going to stand in it. They're going to go pee, they're going to stand in it. It's going to be a constant battle.
Yep.
So.
We got a couple old geriatrics at the house.
Yeah, they just love it. It's like they just want their feet to be terrible.
Yeah, and one that just puts his whole head in the water bin and just shakes his head till he gets enough water out that he can pull his tub.
Yep.
And dumps it out.
Yep.
It's just like, I don't know how you prevent that horse from having bad feet.
Yep. It's so hard.
I finally put him down. It's that black horse that we put down in the strip and shoot just because it's on an automatic water and he's got all this room.
Yep.
Don't know how to keep his feet dry without it.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most, maybe not even the most common, what's your pet peeves about clients? And you don't have to be specific people, but what's your pet peeve as a farrier for clients and things that like you wish every client did, or what would make your job more pleasant and better as a farrier and make your relationship with that client better?
Don't put stuff on their feet, for hell's sakes. No rainmaker, none of that. If you want to do it, right, I just say don't do it. But unless I tell you to do it, don't do it. Because like the other day, it made me so mad. I show up to this client. They got some fish oil that they put on this horse's feet. My first apprentice's apprentice. So he's pretty new to it. He's a young kid. He picks it up, has no idea, and he's like, what is that smell? What is this? I go to climb under this bugger. I got it all over my hands, everything. I literally, like if it would have been me, I'd have just said, nah, I ain't doing this horse. Like, go put it away. I'll come back in 2 weeks when you get all that washed off, something like that. So that's probably like, it shouldn't make me so mad, but it makes me mad.
Well, for the rest of your drive in your head, you're like, gosh, fish oil.
Sometimes it's like some people I'm like, at what point did you think that was a great idea?
Yeah.
Like we're wintertime in Utah and you're going to go put fish, like your horse's foot is already wet. What are you doing? Why don't you go take a torch to it?
I'm sure their uncle
what are
or their
we
aunt
doing?
was some professional.
Yeah, they probably watched it on the internet.
Yes.
If your farrier does not tell you to do something, don't do it.
Get a new one.
I love it. So I'd say that makes me pretty mad, you know what I mean? But what I think every farrier, or what every client, like a farrier wants a client to do, don't wait for your farrier to raise your rates for you to be like, okay, I've been waiting for you to do that. When were you going to do that? Or finally somebody quits you and they're like, hey, I'm sorry, I got a new barn and I got to go. And they're like, oh, so what would it take to have you here? I've never fired somebody that says, like when I'm done, like, hey, what are you worth right now? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I tell them the price and they're like, no, you're worth more than that. You're worth more than that. And they give me $100 tip or something. Mm-hmm. Like those are the clients that you're like, they truly, I'd say a lot of clients, it's hard to find people that actually care for you. Yeah. There was a farrier the other day, it posted online that said he rolled his truck and he texted everybody that day and said, hey, I'm sorry I rolled my truck. I had to go to the hospital. I'm not going to be able to make it. And one of the ladies texted him back and said, well, do you have somebody else that can come out today? Like, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
He said he blocked her and he was done. It's
Good
like,
for him.
You would not believe how many times that happens. Like, farriers just kind of are, there's a dime a dozen kind of thing, and they just don't care, And I feel like right now I have some good clients that, care about stuff, because Shane Carter rolled his truck, and there's a bunch of farriers that kind of band together and help take care of his clients. And man, every one of his clients were just super good about it.
That's cool.
He's got a great client base and was good about it. So I'd just say, like, man, treat your farriers with some respect, just a little bit, because you'd be amazed on how many farriers will stick with you, or if they do got to let you go, they're gonna try to find you somebody.
Yeah.
But if they don't try to find you somebody, usually it's because they're like, hey, I'm done with you. Like, this is not working. It's like that Clinton Anderson where he talks about, like, hey, I've told you. Yeah. I tried to tell you nicely. Now I'm going to really tell you what I think.
Yeah,
Same
exactly.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If a farrier... Jeez.
See, it's not that fun, is it?
Who is it, Bryce?
We're going to go with Brooke Domino Skadzinski. I hope I pronounced that
Oh, you're going to get some
properly.
hate for
I
that,
know.
Bryce.
Don't hate me, Brooke.
That was a better spin.
I was. I
Yeah.
held it. Tail bag.
Nice.
Guys, we're in the middle of winter. I'm going to do a little plug on tail bags. We're in the middle of winter. Horses are not swishing their tails as much. Some are just tail swishers, but they're not swishing their tails as much because the fly population is non-existent, at least in most parts of the country. The tail bags are still extremely important because have you noticed? We were talking about this the other day.
Yep.
My hands get so dry in the winter, dry and cracky and sore. Not that those tails are getting sore, but if you think of the moisture leaving your hands, think of the moisture that's also leaving those horses' coats and their hair. Reason I really stress tail bags during the winter is they're not swishing, so you're not getting as much damage to them, but all the more reason to be growing that much more because you're not losing it. You're not beating the heck out of that tail. Keep them conditioned. Put that a leave-in conditioner on heavy. Again, we highly recommend the BioMane conditioner, and keep that thing bagged. And change out that bag, meaning pull that tail out, brush it, rebraid it, and put conditioner on it at least once a week. It'll go a long ways. So, what was her name? Brooke?
Yep.
Brooke, DM us your shipping information. We'll get you a tail bag sent.
I wonder if a lot of people do that where it's like, well, did good for the summer, kept flies away, now it's kind of just get lazy.
There's tons of people that take
Get
tail
lazy in
bags
the
off
winter?
in the winter.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the flies aren't here. Well, guess what? They're still swishing their tail, and their tail can still get snagged on something. And
Stay consistent.
yeah, I mean, unless we're showing them off at a show
Yeah.
or a jackpot or something, they're in a tail bag.
Yeah.
That's just our program. And shit, we leave them in the tail bag half the time at the jackpots anyways because
You don't want to pull them out.
we don't want to pull them out. You're on a
The
horse
horse
that's-
show's a little different.
Horse shows, you can't.
But then,
have them.
too, like, I'm a big advocate of cutting them.
Yeah, cutting
I
them,
like
blunt
'em.
cutting them at like
Yeah.
fetlock.
Yep. I like them flat.
Yeah.
And some people don't. Some people like them to drag, and they keep them in a tail bag all the time.
Man, anymore? I'm kind of a blunt cut.
Yeah, I like it.
I
I
started
like the
doing it.
Rainer
Like,
look.
even
It
the
makes,
you
ones
know?
it makes it look more full.
Oh
Yeah.
man, well, like the ones I had ones dragging the ground 3, 4, 5 foot.
Yeah.
And it got to where I couldn't even get them out at the shows,
Yeah, you can't do it.
at the jackpots, anywhere we'd go. It was like, yeah, you'd pull it out, let it drag, and you're like, okay, show it to a few people, and then put it back in because I'm so stressed about it
Yeah.
being stepped on. I just thought, man, rather than that, I think I'd rather be blunt cut and look like a big old tree trunk
Yeah.
with a tail going all the way down.
Especially when you braid them and they're big and thick. They just,
Big old thick.
you can't even get a rubber band around
bronc
them.
rain. Love it.
Love it, too. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, we got a few questions.
Let's
that
hear
we
'em.
need to get to. So Brooke, she did ask one. She said, "What type of shoe do you like a horse? Oh wait, like for a horse when they get going barefoot to shoe for the first time?"
So going from barefoot to putting their first
She
shoes on.
said she has tiny quarter horse feet that don't grow much, and they're putting her in shoes this spring. She heard about aluminum shoes a lot for barrel horses. Are they really worth it?
No.
And you're not charging a consultant fee today, are you?
No.
It's free info.
I'm going
bro.
to tell you this. So aluminum shoes, they get electrolysis happening to them. So they'll actually, aluminum shoes are terrible for feet. Just so everybody knows that. Like it is, you want to talk about like white line and stuff, that problems. Keep them in aluminum all the time. It's rough on them. And I have a lot of horses in aluminum because they have to show in aluminum sometimes. I mean, that's just what they are. But we try to bounce back and forth
So they're not
between.
in
So
them
like
all the
off
time.
the show season, then we're gonna put them back in still because I want to. The other thing too, like I want to burn them on. You know, and we have a couple horses that can't take a burn very well, but here in Utah, I might be a little more OCD about it, but I don't like white line. Like I don't want any white line. I want my
And is
hoof
that
to
half
be.
the reason for hot shoe for? burning
Yeah, I
them
feel
on?
like when I can burn them on, like really burn them on, roast them on, I should say.
Yeah.
I could kill a lot of that stuff. And the mate to the, from the shoe to the foot is gray.
So
it's right
much
there.
better.
Yeah. And and so That with aluminum shoes is tough, and I put a lot of aluminums on. But I would tell you, like, if that's your first pair of shoes, just get a good farrier. He'll know what to do. You're good. It doesn't matter if you get rims or plates or handmade, flat shoes. It doesn't matter.
Talk about burning them on. Like, we know, like, it's second-hand knowledge, but help someone understand what it means to burn the shoes on.
Yeah, because it's funny, Olin Pullum.
Uh-huh.
So his wife has never seen that before. And I'm
Really?
shoeing his horse one day, and I burn it on. She's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think her dad did all the shoeing, right?
Yeah, her
Probably,
dad
so.
did all the shoeing. Yep. But she never saw it before. It's just nothing wrong with it. She just didn't know.
Yeah.
So what burning it on? So I tend to heat most of my shoes up, and
Which helps with shaping.
it helps with shaping. It makes it way, way easier while they're hot. And then while I have some heat in them, I go check the foot and see how close I am. And then that way I
On
can
the
come
fit.
back. Yeah, on the fit.
On how good your shaping is.
Yep. And then I can come back to the horn, and I can tighten them up or open them up or do whatever I need to do, bend something in. So when I'm checking them, I'm burning them on the foot. And depending on the foot, I usually leave enough foot on there that I can really, every farrier that hot fits is like, man, it's such a better fit.
The
It's such
longer you can
everything
leave
better.
on it,
You can just roast them suckers
So
off.
that thing may not be burning red hot.
Oh no, it's not hot. That's not like that. Yeah, if it's burning red hot,
You'll
like
torch
you'll
right
see
through
guys
it.
on the internet that have like a burning red hot shoe, and it depends. Like sometimes you can see a little color in them because
Yeah.
it's dark somewhere. But yeah, if they're burning red hot, you can't even the foot doesn't stick to the shoe at all.
Yeah.
So I can't see where I'm at anyways,
Yeah, and you're
And it's so hot
smoking.
because I'll feel it while it's hot,
Uh-huh.
trying to see where it's at, and if it's that hot, I can't even feel it. So
Yeah.
it's like
So while it's hot enough, you're putting that on the actual sole of the foot,
and just pulling it back.
and to pretty much that's your step before you nail it on.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna put
Yeah,
it on,
I'm gonna
make sure
come
that
back.
fits
I'm gonna
good.
either rasp or knife a little bit to relieve some sole pressure, depending on how hard I burned,
Yeah.
or what kind of foot.
Yeah.
So do you
It
burn
is.
them most of the time, or do you have other techniques that?
So most of the time I burn,
Just
but there's
unless
a lot of
horse
horses that get
will
scared of
not do
it. Yeah, and it's more the sound than the smoke. I'd say
it?
some are a little afraid of the smoke, but most of the time it's the sound. Especially with clips, they get to sometimes hissing. Yeah. So it's funny. I sit there and you could video me, and I'm sitting there going like trying to prepare them, and I'll sit there and be just barely checking it like their first couple times, and then any farrier they're just blowing like crazy, like trying to get it to just so I can see, because it usually, unless you have a fan or something, it's right back in your face. I got
Yeah.
smoker lungs, guaranteed, guaranteed, man. Sometimes I like to chew a lot of gum, and I'm like, I got to change the gum out all the time because it tastes like that smoke,
Smoked flavored gum.
So this is funny. This is a great story about smoke. So I go to a taco time after I just went to my eventing client. They're all clipped. They're all burned on. I smell like death. Death. I walk in there and there's this girl, and it's our local one. It's right by the bar, and I go there all the time. We walk in there and the lady's taking an order, and she's like, one second. And she like runs to the back, like running. She like runs around all the stuff. She comes back up and she's like, I swear I could smell smoke. Like, she goes, can you guys smell that? And I'm like, I kind of like look at her, and I didn't think about it for a second. I'm like, oh, don't worry, that's just me. And she goes, like, what do you mean that's just you? I'm like, oh, I shoe horses for a living. She's like, oh, you shoot horses for a living? Like, you kill them? Like,
And then we
if you
burn
knew
the
how many-
bodies.
and then if you knew how many times, and then I go, no, I'm a farrier. Oh, you're a fairy? Like, what? Gosh, every farrier knows this problem right here. Think about how many people, like, I'm going to the grocery store, I got my kids, I'm like walking by late after work and just smell like death. Freaking death like that. Some people can't even handle it. They can't even be around me.
Oh yeah.
Like, it is bad. Especially if we shoot like 8 head that day and I freaking burned everyone,
Yeah.
it's bad.
And plus, in the heat of the summer,
Oh, yeah.
you get
Oh,
get sweating.
that mixed with the swass would just be
Oh, man.
terrible.
Well,
It's great.
hopefully it
Luckily,
calms-
my wife just loves it.
Just loves you to
I
death.
come home, she's like, don't even shower. I wish. That'd be great, right?
Oh yeah, they loved it that much.
Sophia Barrow, she asked if a breakaway horse slides into a stop after the roping, would you suggest keeping back shoes on.
So sliders are a big thing. We talk about this a lot because we're roping and doing stuff and breakaway horses and calf horses. So
Hold on one sec. Might have to do an analysis on are you getting better times with that or after? It's all that matters on the times, right?
So this is what I'd say about that. If you're trying to sell that horse and it's good with sliders,
Keep sliders on.
you keep sliders. Like the wintertime, a lot of guys will pull sliders in the winter, and I'm like, hey, we go to these barns and they're sticky.
Yeah.
I'm going to almost put bigger sliders on sometimes.
Just it's
Like,
easier
I
on their
wanna-
hocks, on their stifles.
And it all depends on what we're doing. If we're talking about rodeo horses, then like absolutely not.
Yeah. You want to pinch
Like
off
sometimes, I mean, put a rim on the hind of that thing. Like
Yeah.
I want to feel like I'm in 4-wheel drive all the time going
Yeah.
around the corner, you
Yeah.
know. But when it comes to show horses, and it depends on the horses. Like I have a Whiskey and Diamonds right now. You could put cleats on her. She'll break her leg trying to stop so hard,
Yeah.
you know. So I'd say it just depends on what you're trying to do with that horse. If you are rodeoing and she already slides big and you guys have good dirt, then there's no need for sliders.
Yeah.
You know, if the dirt's not good, then you need sliders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. But most rodeo, I mean, in the summertime here, the ground's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm going to put just plates on the back because I just want, I want a little give, but I want my horse to feel like he can really dig and get around the corner.
Yeah.
And a breakaway horse, I'd say the same thing. Like calf horses for sure, I never put sliders on calf horses.
Yep.
You know, they got to stop
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of prepare themselves. When horses that get sliders on the hind end sometimes, if they're not show horses, because like that's a totally different thing. But rodeo horses, if they get sliders on the back, think about them trying to leave the box hard.
Oh, yeah.
Calf horses are firing, and then they slide, and then they usually are trying to prepare for a jerk, but their feet are still underneath them, and they can't anchor down, and then they take it on their shoulder, and
Yeah, the guy's sitting there on the side just going, are you serious? We're just...
Yeah, for sure. Now, showing them, totally different. We're trying to make them look fancy and slide and do all the stuff. But yeah, breakaway horses, if your horse has no problem sliding and your dirt's good, there's no need for sliders.
What do you call it on the back? Do you call it a hanger? Where you can, like, if it's just a normal shoe on the back, you kind of like leave just a little bit on the
Yeah,
back?
so that's a funny little topic right there, too. So that is a very novice thing. If you leave shoe out the back, a lot of times you're just trying to protect the heel bolt. Mm-hmm. But when you see guys that are hanging sliders out like this,
You
they
see
just
it a
don't
lot, right?
lack of knowledge. That's what goes back to lack of knowledge. Horses slide from their toe, not their heel. When the horse hits the ground, they go heel first. So if their heels are long, they're going to point their toes back down in the dirt more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I didn't know this. I started shoeing reiners, and I went to Arizona and got some help from, in my opinion, one of the best reining farriers ever. And all of my shoes were too far back. So it's the exact opposite what we talked about earlier, long toes and stuff. Reiners, you got to have shoe in front of them.
Yeah.
And it depends on the foot. If they got a real stood up foot, sometimes I might hang almost an inch of shoe out in front of them because it's the toe that slides them, you know. And it's the same thing. Those talented reiners that I shoe, the talented ones, man, sometimes we don't even put I mean, they might get an inch plate, but they, like, depending on where they go, if it's slick, I mean, they'd stop with nothing on their feet, you know? Just so talented. But yeah, I remember thinking always that the length of the shoe at the back is what makes them slide more. That is so false. Opposite. Yep. Now, protecting things or support, that's a different story.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to always leave a slider far enough back to protect heel bulbs. But that is not how they slide. Usually, I mean, we're tapering the hinds because we're trying to get them not to put such a big footprint in the ground.
Yeah.
Everything's in the toe. That's like 1.25 inch toe weight to slide. That's because we're trying to get more surface in the toe.
In the toe. Interesting.
Yep. So
That's a good question.
another thing too, and
I've seen that a lot though. That's
it's like a super common thing. Yeah. The other thing too, a lot of guys don't understand is rolled toes on sliders. So you got to remember, and it depends on the dirt, and it depends on the hock set, and there's a lot that goes into it. But a rolled toe on a slider doesn't mean they're going to slide more. Mm-hmm. That is more than likely it makes more of a snowplow effect, and they're going to slide less. So like I would rocker a toe on a slider when a horse is underneath itself and they can't get backed up. That's when I would do something like that.
Okay.
So I'm going to rocker a toe more that way, or they're pulling front shoes. You know, I'm going to try to help something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I have seen some horses that are so straight up that when they hit the ground, they got to have a little bit of a rolled toe. If not, they just stub the ground.
Just knuckle over.
Yep. So, I mean, there's always a time and a place for everything, but I used to rocker all my sliders, and then I went to that guy, and he's like, you don't even understand what you're doing here.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how I got taught, and that's what
Yeah.
I did, and yeah.
Cool.
What advice do you have for someone who, wants their horses to have the best hooves possible? Like you already talked about supplements, obviously, but are there like certain ground manners that they could work on?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, that's a good question.
Who's the guy we keep talking about that was on the gauge?
Clint Anderson.
He just posted a deal the other day where it was a girl he was overlooking, and she just got done riding a 2-year-old, and it's huffing for air. Like she's got done loping it.
Saw this video.
And she's picking up its feet and doing all the stuff. I mean, she is trying to make our lives better. And that's what you can do. I mean,
and she did it after she got done with exercising
she's trying
that
to
horse.
make it
That
a
horse
good
is fighting
thing.
for air.
Yeah.
He's just not thinking about anything but breathing. And she's going, picking up his feet, getting him good with his feet because he's not thinking about it. It's the best time to do it.
I'd say this. Not every horse is good. I have plenty of young horses that are terrible. And I get it. Like, it's a pain in the butt to go out there and always be, doing stuff or scotching them up or, but it's not my job also to go to your house and train your horse.
Yeah.
So I think you have two options. You either got to train them yourself. And by training them, I mean full on, like, tie their leg up, stuff like that where it's like, really get them to submit to, hey, it's okay. Until you quit fighting, I'm not going to let it down kind of a thing. Especially if you're not strong enough to hold it up. That's a great way to do it. And you got to hold them up long. Because I know people are like, well, I pick his feet out every day. It's like, okay, but I'm hitting on this bugger.
Yeah.
And he's already got a sensitive foot, let's say, from, a tight lamina or something, So it's like, you can either work on him or you can go to the vet or have a vet there or get some dermosidine gel. But I promise you, if you're willing to tip your guy, pay him what he's worth, have dermosidine gel ready, and hold your horses, you're going to get about anybody to come work for you. And don't be a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a lot, but hey, if you want the best guys, that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of clients that, dermosidine gel, anybody can go buy it from the vet clinic. So, and it doesn't take that much. So you give them 30 minutes. They're usually kind of heavy. It kind of sucks that way, but it's a lot better than kicking my head off.
Yeah.
Or if I can burn.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they're kind of go to sleep and I can kind of burn.
Yep.
Especially if they have some white line issues like we talked. I mean, it makes it so much better. You're
The
taking
biggest
better care of
thing
your horse.
Over the years, having different farriers that I've noticed is giving them a good environment to shoe in.
Oh, man.
Makes all the difference.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I don't know how many times Fowden showed up and Snapchatted to all his buddies, probably sending them
to me. That your new ground and or your new floor and everything.
Yeah, like how nice is it to come and have a polyglass
Shaded.
floor and shade, and they got a fan and this.
And a
not
fridge.
Not saying you got to go pour a concrete pad or have polyglass floors.
No, I would say they got to have. They got to have concrete or rubber. I'm going to say that right now. All the farriers out there, you're welcome. Concrete or rubber. They got to have one or the other. If you expect your horse to get done on an unlevel surface and then you're going to bitch about, whether they are unsound or they go to the vet or they don't look good, get a better spot. Haul to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
Take care of your farrier a little better.
Yeah.
Yep.
End of story. I'm big about that.
Good.
I got to
I'm
be able to
glad
see
you're
flat. If I can't see flat, then what are we doing?
And then you're not going to want to come back and make it one of your golden clients.
Well, and like we've got a lot at the house, and like a farrier's looking at that, like, man, that's a good one-stop shop. I can make a lot of money at this one place, but at the same time, it's kind of daunting. I feel like sometimes with
man,
it's just like, man, it's a full couple days of
That's
getting
what
my ass kicked.
I tell a lot of young farriers coming up, like, a couple things that I think guys make a huge mistake. Like, I am all about, if you can't find a guy to go with and you want to go to school, I'm not against school at all. Go to school, learn how to be a farrier, do the whole thing. It's great. But a lot of the guys that have worked for me have never went to school. They just come to work for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's say it's a year or 2 year process. Man, it takes a long time to learn how to do it and do it good. But I would tell, like, Fowden, for instance, if he can find him a guy, going to your place is not a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can go knock out
I gotta
6,
pull and
8,
finish and
8 of
stuff.
them. Yeah. If a guy can just pull shoes off and then he can just start learning how to finish, it helps so much. Or hold a horse.
Yeah.
Horse is kind of being a little funny. Like, a guy that's got some horse sense that can hold a horse makes all the difference.
Yep. But if you got a pile of horses, you got to have a good spot for your
Got to have it.
You do.
Yep.
Got to have it.
And
if not, go to the fairgrounds. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a fairgrounds everywhere.
That's a great point.
You know, go
Go
somewhere.
that does.
If you got to go pay $10 to go to some guy's house that's got some shade and you can haul in there and make sure you clean up after yourselves and everything's professional, then yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it. So I thought about this too. Young guys coming up, I hear people ask me all the time, like, so what would you tell a guy, like, you know, if you're a young guy trying to learn how to shoe, 1,000% go to your local feed store, wherever they're selling the shoes, Farrier Supply. Walk up to the counter and say, who's the top best 5 guys in that area? Figure out who they are, work for them for free, do whatever you got to do, ride with them, sweep up, ride with those guys so you can learn how to do it good. Mm-hmm. Because what's going to happen, a lot of times guys go to school, and if you can't find anybody, school's a great option, or go to school and then do this. But what happens is you get the bottom of the barrel when you start out.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell everybody too, like when you're starting out, your number one goal is to bolt them on because you're going to do mountain horses and junker horses. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was going with another guy and I was trying to shoe like him. And your reputation is to to keep shoes on.
Yeah.
That is your reputation. When you first start out, that's what it is. And what happens is guys don't do that. Then they get a bad reputation. They can't keep shoes on. And then they're like in limbo where they don't know how to get better because they're never going with another guy. Mm-hmm. So I recommend, like, you go find a guy that is the very best in your area, find him, and you work for free. I mean, that's free college.
Yeah.
And most of the time, guys are looking for somebody they're willing to pay you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm always looking for somebody. Like, hey, you want to come ride with us? That's great.
Yep.
You know, it just helps us.
Yeah.
And I like helping other guys too, you know, passing it on kind of a thing. But go just work and be early, clean the truck. Don't be freaking lazy.
Yeah.
You know, do everything you can to make his life better. And I promise you, he'll pour as much knowledge into you as you can. And then what happens too, a lot of people don't know this, but once you get a good client base, farrier, if you know how to shoe horses remotely good right now, your phone rings off the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, there's days you get 10 messages with the most ridiculous price on there, and people don't even care. They just need you right there, right now. They want it, whatever it takes. So what happens if you go with the best guys, they're just going to say, hey, I know this kid. He's been with me for 2 years. He's amazing. He's going out on his own. Let me pass these on to you. And then you're not fighting bad clients, you know, or he's going to give you some of his clients. He's like, hey, I can't take care of them anymore. Yeah. I'm going to pass them on to you.
He's going to be kind
They're
of
amazing. I can check in. Yep.
Yeah.
I can check in on you a little bit.
Yep.
If you have any problems, I can help you. Stuff like that.
That's great.
Sorry to go off on that.
No,
but I
that
thought
was good. That was
a,
one of my questions I
you know,
wanted
I'm like,
to ask was, what do you recommend for guys that want to do it?
You know, I'm not a huge advocate of school of anything. Like, you want to be a dentist, you go to school. Like, you do it.
You want to be a lawyer, you got to go to school.
You got to go to school. Yeah, you do it. But just to go to school.
Trade?
Just to go to school is the dumbest thing, in my opinion.
Totally agree.
If you're just going to go spend money to go party, you're an idiot.
Yeah, and go get a degree you're never going to use.
You're an idiot.
Like, go to...
I'm going to tell you this right now. You can be a farrier and make as much money as a dentist. You got to you got to be the best, and you got to try hard, but you can do it.
Yep.
You know, you got to work your tail off, all the stuff. Your back's going to hurt more than a dentist is, but you can do it. You know, I'd like a lot of guys to know that, like, hey, you just got to try.
Yep.
Put a little more effort into life.
Yep.
So.
Bryce, got any more questions?
Yeah, what about a horse? What would you recommend how to work on a horse that has thrush?
So thrush is kind of tricky too, because thrush is kind of, I wouldn't say it's as broad as the navicular disease, but thrush can be so many things. Like are we talking like the frogs thrushy? Are we talking like, I mean, basically what I get from that is that the horse has some bacteria going on in the bottom of its foot. So number one, your farrier needs to clean it up. If there's any dead foot or any flaps or anything that dirt or debris or mud or pee or whatever shit's getting underneath it, that needs to be trimmed up so it can let go good. And then they make all sorts of things that you can put on it, like groom's hand, I know is one of them. It's a purple spray you can spray on it. Thrust buster, you can go to your local vet and they'll make they'll give you iodine or some sort of sole hardener or something. You know, you got to be careful it's not sensitive tissue with that stuff. But your farrier, if you'll check with your farrier and be like, hey, what about this? More than likely, if your farrier's good, which they probably are, they're going to help you with that. They're going to tell you, hey, I prefer this product over this. That goes back to what I was saying. Don't put anything in your horse's feet unless I tell you to put it in there.
Yeah.
You know, and thrush buster and stuff, that's a little different. That's on the bottom of the foot.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily touch the bottom.
Yeah.
Like a knife is touching that.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, if you see things are kind of going on, like, yeah, go to your local feed store, get some antibacterial stuff, put in it. Be great.
You got to get them in dry ground.
And dry ground. Yeah, sorry. That was great.
I mean, you can put whatever you want on there to cure it.
Yeah, if they stand their own shit all day.
Throw them back in that same pen.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, you got to keep them dry. Mm-hmm. Keep them, take care of them, pick them out, stuff like that.
Cool. Man, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, I kind of went on some tangents.
That's
there.
good.
What's another pet peeve you have as far with say a horse and a client? That's something that you didn't touch on that you want. Like,
so you wouldn't believe how many horses are so good to work on until their client shows up.
Really?
Oh, I mean, this is where I'm gonna rag on the English world right here. You carrot, treat, feeding buggers.
Really?
Quit. You can do it later. Don't do it while I'm underneath him. I don't want him nudging. I mean, I can list off 5 horses right now. They are golden to shoe. They are amazing. Good horses. The owners show up. So I work for the trainer, but the owners show up. Shitheads.
Really?
Almost sedate them so bad. I'm dead serious. And that's all just trained behavior.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They've trained them to be bad and get a treat for it. They've trained them to do that.
Spoiled.
Yeah. Because it's amazing. Because when I talk about these trainers I work for, they're unreal. They're so talented trainers. And you should see if they happen to be around and the owner shows up and that's what happens. Oh, there's some ass chewing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not afraid to do some telling them. But that's what I'd say is like, I'm all for treats. I feed treats. I'll do some stuff. I'll give them some grain and stuff like that.
It's not while a guy's
Especially,
under him.
yeah. Like if I got to go catch them, if a horse is hard to catch, don't be an idiot. Go get some treats and just be friendly to him. Yeah. I'm all about it. I love horses. That's why I shoe horses. I love them.
Yeah.
But for hell's sakes, when I'm underneath them, don't even pet them. Like if I sedate your horse, don't touch it. Do not touch it.
It's like giving
They're sitting there petting on them. Like every time you touch them, it's like they wake up a little more. They wake up a little more.
Yeah.
Like let that soak in.
Bug off for a minute.
And just, yeah.
You can love on them all.
You can hold them.
Yeah.
Sit there and hold them. Make sure everything's good. I appreciate that. For shit's sakes, don't pet them. Don't be getting a treat out. And if you know your horse is bad about that, just don't even be around.
Yeah.
Pay the trainer. Say, hey, I'll give you an extra $20, whatever, $50, whatever it's going to be. Will you please take care of this horse for my farrier? Yeah. There you go, farriers. I got your back. I might look like I kind of do a little shit talking here about this and that.
But you got their best interest in
hey,
mind.
yeah, dude. Like, let's all go up in price. Let's all be friendly. Let's all have each other's backs.
Exactly.
If I work on your horse at the clinic, like, hey, like I want to, if I know who it is, I'm going to try to call you and be like, hey, you want to be here? Do you want to do something? Most of the time, they don't give a crap. They're like, dude, I hate that horse. Just
do your thing.
Is it,
shoot it.
Is it kind of a deal like where owners are like, they're very proud of their horse and they can't see the flaws? Like, oh, he's good. He's going to do
No,
this.
that doesn't happen a lot. A lot of times, I mean, we're at the vet. Like, it's so black and white. Like, hey, I would say behavior, it's that way. Mm-hmm. Behavior, but feet, no.
Right, that's what I meant. Like when you're getting ready to get under him, like...
Oh. You want to talk about... This is where the team roping world is very, very far advanced over the English world.
Yeah.
Is that we don't put up with shit with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I get it. Like, we talked, like, these are athletes.
Yeah.
Some of these high jumpers and eventers and dressage or whatever, they're athletes. I get it. But that doesn't mean that you don't have some respect. When you get in the cross ties, have some respect, you know? Yeah, for sure. Because team ropers, they don't put up with that.
No.
And I'll tell you this, too. I'm going to go off on some barrel racers. Sue Smith is a badass. I promise you, everybody knows who she is.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows. I have worked on centerfold multiple times. That's her. I mean, that horse is a badass. Okay,
Yeah.
It stands there like a dream. She makes sure of it. If not, it's gonna go get worked or do something, And it's still a barrel horse. It's still a little bit of a pill in the trailer and some other little things like that. But I promise you, when I've shoot it and she's standing there, it stands like a dream. If not, it's gonna get sedated. If it's having a bad day, which horses have bad days, they all do. I've shoot horses before where I've shoot them for 8 years. They're amazing. And then all of a sudden they have a bad day, and we got to do something about it. Yeah. But, it just happens. But yeah, there's so many times where they just love on them and they think they're just the best ever. And they're like, those horses are just knocking these ladies over, just hitting them with their heads.
That's not the case in
No.
in our discipline.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous when they're like that.
So-
It kind of sounds like a deal where it's like these parents are giving. It's the whole concept of let's give trophies to everybody.
Yeah.
No, you get it when it's deserved to them. Otherwise, you're gonna be spoiled.
So one of my favorite trainers I've ever worked for, his name's Travis Atkinson. He's almost made the NFR a couple times riding bulls. He rode racehorses growing up. I mean, he's been in the Western world, and now he's an eventer, dressage, great trainer, amazing horseman. The best part about Travis is like he brings Western world into the English world. We break him earlier, at least get some rides on him and do some stuff. Why he can manhandle them around, he makes sure that he gets them so they can, respect him and everything's good. And man, we've had 2 horses there now that they're more scared about getting a shot than anything. So what he does is he stands there and whether he's got to, just be stern with them or, a chain or something, but he's standing there with them and he stands on my side and makes sure that horse is good for me 100%. And if something's bad and he can tell it, I mean, he's going to grab me or tell me like, hey, watch out for a second, or even we just give him Dermosidane gel a little bit, but he is what people should be, because those 2 horses, we don't need any help anymore at all. We've only been shoeing them for a year now, and it's because he sat there and trained on them and pet on them. And then I get up, I pet on them, everything's okay. They're just a high energy horse. Yeah. But that shows, I mean, that to me is like a lot from Western world. He just brought it in like, hey, you're gonna be good right now.
We're gonna fix this.
Yeah,
like,
we're gonna fix it.
Option. You're gonna be good, or you're not gonna be here.
Yeah. No, he's that way a lot. And and I think a lot of people respect him for it. And you wouldn't believe how many horses that people go to his place now because it's like they finally feel like their horses respect them. Yeah. They finally feel like there's like a good partnership there. Yeah. Where before it's like they didn't know what horse they were getting on that day. They were getting on a horse maybe that was going to run off that day or run them over that day or something. And he's helped them through that, a lot of that. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Cool.
What else do you have, Nash? I feel like we opened up.
Nash is a fountain of information.
Oh,
This is
man.
awesome.
I probably talk way too much.
This is great for farriers that don't want to offend clients.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of on
if you don't want to offend them, have them send message to BioMane, and I will talk to you.
We'll forward it
your
along.
client. If you have a problem with your client and you just can't feel how to, figure out how to get through to them, like if they're
message us, we'll pass it along.
Yeah, I'm good
we'll
with
work it through together.
Man, if you knew how many people don't like me for that kind of stuff, it's amazing.
What you?
And
gotta be
everybody learns, and
thick-skinned
they figure out what niche they want to get in and stuff. Like, you're gonna offend some people, just what it is.
You'd offended them if you went a different route anyway.
Man, I go to the barrel races sometimes, and I just got to put my head down like this because I at one point that's what I shoot is more barrel horses.
Yeah.
But there's some great barrel horses, ladies and trainers and riders and everything like that. But sometimes it's just better for me to go to the barn, utilize a helper, get stuff done.
Yeah.
It's also a business. You got to remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm as guilty as anybody of not answering my phone and being bad about that. But it's just what happens. Get you another farrier. Pay 'em more money. They'll be amazing for you.
Yeah.
It's the story of the game. It's all money.
That's
money and being good about stuff. If you're not a pain in the butt, like let's say lost shoes. That's a great little topic too.
Yeah.
If your horse continually loses shoes, go get a lesson.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying I'm a guy that bolts them on. I like to bolt shoes on. I hate lost shoes. You lose a shoe, you just lost $100 every time, no matter what. Even if they're down the street, like I just look at it like my time setting up, doing the things. If I got to bend the shoe back, like what if they got a pad on, stuff like that. Like I'm trying to keep those shoes on all the time. That's my thing. And some horses, you're fitting them with so much support, or you're trying something, or it's just going to happen. Or horses that kick and, sliders, and they're going to knock off sliders. And it just happens. But, like, the good clients or trainers, a lot of times they either put them on themselves, or they're going to put kicking chains on, or they're going to try, if a client, we talked about this the other day, if a client, a lot of English horses get turned out a lot. They get turnout time.
Yeah.
Dude, almost every one of mine get bell boots on.
When they turned out.
If they're a shoe puller or something like that, and it's amazing to all the clients out there. If you said, hey, My horse lost a shoe. I made sure it had bell boots on. I made, in the turnout, I went and found the shoe. Is there any way I can bring the horse to you or something? Can we get it put back on? Most every farrier is going to say yes. Not charge you. Be good about it. If you go to the barrel race and you lose a shoe, you don't even notice it till the next day. You never went and looked for it. You never nothing. It's like, hey, I got a race tomorrow and I need that shoe put back on. I'm not going to answer my phone.
Yeah.
You don't have enough care about me. It's not like I put that shoe on to come off.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that kind of stuff. Like, if you lose a shoe, check stuff after you're done riding. Check things out. Make sure everything's okay. If you got a sprung heel or something, and then go back out there and go look for it. If a lady called me and said, "Hey, I just spent 20 minutes. I can't find the shoe. I looked. I don't know what happened to it. I'm so sorry. What can I do? Can I, pay for your time? Something." As long as they're nice about it, man, I'll just take care of them. It's totally fine. Just remember that to all your farriers.
But if they act like you're the one that put them out for a shoe
Yeah.
coming off, it's like
I got yelled at one
see
time
you
by
in
this
6
lady.
weeks.
I got yelled at by this lady once because her horse pulled a shoe around the second barrel, and she about went over, like almost tipped over. She came out so mad at me. You SOB, hanging them out too much, blah, blah, blah. And it's a fetch and barrel horse. Like, you think I'm really going to be hanging it out there?
Yeah.
Like, come on now. And I was so novice. I wish I could go back to my old self and like prep myself for that and be like, you tell that lady to bite
Where
the
to
wall.
go? Yeah.
Like, seriously? You tell her I don't need to put up with your shit today.
Yeah.
You go find another farrier, and I'll make sure that all the other farriers know this is what's going on,
Exactly.
Instead, I just was because, I was a bit of an ass kisser because I needed the work. I wanted it, whatever. Yeah. And I'm so sorry. Let's try to figure this out, I'll maybe square up the hinds a little more. We'll fit them tighter. We'll do all this. I'm like, oh, I wish I could prep myself and be like, bud, get her. Tell her.
Go bite the wall.
Go bite the wall. Jump in a lake. I don't even need you. I'll find 10 more. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's a good way to approach it because, like, to Fountains, like our other friends that have been shooing us for a long time, it's always kind of a funny joke. Like, after 3 days, be like, oh, he blew a shoe?
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't. They're just like, what? It's like, just joking.
Oh, dude.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if ours blows shoe, we scour the arena. Like, we're looking for that sucker, and it's not like, dude.
I speak for Fountain on this. At one point, I took so much thought and effort into shoeing horses. Like, now it's not so much. I don't lose sleep over things as much. But I would lose sleep over not a client that lost a shoe and is maybe a little bit bugged about it. Like I would literally lose sleep over that. And now it's like, it's just not a big deal. Like, it just happens. You know what I mean? But Fountain's a lot the same way, where he's going to think, like, he might talk like, oh, that sucker, I don't care. Blah, blah. No, deep down inside, he's sitting there going, man, I got to put it back on, first of all. Second of all, I don't want an unhappy client. I don't want a bad reputation for this,
Yeah.
So understand that, people. We don't try to lose shoes. We're not trying to hot nail your horse that day. We're not trying to do a bad job. We're not trying to get you to lose a shoe.
Majority of guys aren't charging you to tack that shoe back on.
Majority.
They're out their time. They're out their nails. They're out possibly a shoe if you couldn't find it.
Yeah.
They're not trying to get horses to pull shoes to make an extra buck on you because most of them aren't. If your horse is losing a lot of shoes and they're charging every time to put that shoe on, look somewhere else.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, because they're
we talk about this too. Like,
if
if you lose shoes constantly, I just always go back to the farrier a little bit just because it's like those are my guys.
Yeah.
Go get some help.
Yeah.
This is it goes back to the English. I never lose shoes consistently in English horses ever. Back in the day when I just shoed Western barrel horses, team roping horses, stuff like that. Sometimes, there would be a horse that would, like a head horse, lose a left front over and over and over. It's like, why don't you go to your best local guy and go get some help from your horse shoulder and down,
Exactly.
Because I can only do so much.
Yep.
And another thing, too, like I know a couple head horses that had some major heel issues because of overreaching or hitting their heel bulbs, or the farrier's fitting them so tight over time, and then that heel bulb just starts jacking up. And then, like your buckskin.
He crushed.
I end up putting bar shoes on him. I'm floating his heel. Got him in a frog support pad, floating his heel, trying to bring it all down. That's because losing left fronts, and it just keeps migrating up. Mm-hmm. It's such a big common problem with head horses.
Yep.
A lot of that, and I get it. There's a lot of sometimes if you're at the rodeo and you got to duck them left, you got to duck them left.
Yeah.
That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if your horse pulls it all the time, be a good client. Go tape them up.
Yeah.
You know, go put 2 sets of bell boots on them, tape them up. Try to do your best to help us out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
That's cheap insurance.
Cheap. Go
Cheap
get some
insurance.
duct tape.
Well, especially if a guy's hauling.
Yep.
Matt Mills, the Rainer Matt Mills, he did a whole segment on duct taping shoes. Mm-hmm. If you want to go see it, go get on his Facebook page.
Yep.
I'm like, shout out to that guy for looking out for the farriers.
Yeah.
You know, he's showing how they tape them. I mean, that's where it goes back to the Rainers are a little higher end when it comes to the Western world. Mm-hmm. They can't go blow a show and when they're in, you know, the futurity.
Yeah.
Or a shoe, not a show. They can't go blow a shoe out there. That's going to throw off their whole run.
Yeah.
So they're going to take precautions. I mean,
Make sure that's-
and a lot of them have saddlers and stuff that are doing it, but
still.
they're amazing.
Again, even that much more advanced.
Yeah, because sometimes, I mean, on a Rainer, we might be leaving some shoe out behind them a little bit because of movement.
Yeah.
You know, we might want them to float in the dirt a little more.
Yeah.
And they got to put some effort into
gotta
it because that's that much easier for them to pull it off, you know? Yep.
Okay.
Great point.
I had a question. So, what's something that you've seen other farriers do that, let's just say it's, I saw this, it was in a completely different country, but I was like, okay, if this happened in America, be in big trouble.
Yeah.
So, like, twitches, like, any of that's like, you, I mean, like, what are some things that you've seen that other, like, if, like, a client's watching it and they're like, is this okay? Like,
Yeah, so here in America, you're actually, I mean, we don't have licensing or anything, so there's no, like, losing your license for beating on a horse.
Yep.
You know, where other countries, I mean, it's serious. You're a 10-year apprenticeship. You're trying to, like, they have licenses. I mean, it's a big deal. You freaking beat on a horse, you're done. See you later. So, I mean, we don't have that here, but that's such a
still
fine
got
line. Why do I
reputation.
have to beat the horse?
Yeah.
That's like Travis Atkinson. I was telling you, like, he's right there. If he needs to belly kick it, he's the trainer.
Yeah.
He's the one that's the professional. I'm not a professional horse whooper, you know, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah.
That's him, you know, and that's how most of the trainers are. Like, and they know the difference between, like, hey, this one is bullying you, and this one is, like, so fractious that we just need to sedate it. There's a
Yeah.
huge difference there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I tell a lot of people, like, hey, if your horse is getting beat on by the farrier, there's 2 options. You either need to take 3 options. You need to take better care of trying to make your horse better to be shod. You know, whether that's going to the vet, like maybe it's stifle sore or something, you know.
Yeah.
You know, or you need to sedate it, or you get another guy that can get along with your horse better, because that happens too.
That does.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, to the clients, there's a lot of farriers out there that have short tempers.
Short
you know,
tempers
that's
and-
not your guy. You
Well,
know,
and
if
there's some guys that don't do it full time. That is kind of a side gig.
Yeah.
I've had one of those. Had a full time day job. After his day job, he'd go to shoeing, and like, dude, the guy's just by the time
too rigid. He's not getting down low enough.
by the
That just-
time he's done at his other job, he's done for the day.
He's
wants
tired.
to check out, and now he's got to go do the real physical labor. Pissed off. You get a horse that's pulling on you, kind of being dumb.
Trying to be fast.
That fuse is that short.
Yep.
And it's like, this isn't a good fit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
You
gonna
know,
happen.
I get it. I get where you're coming from. It's just not a good fit.
Yep. And you know, guys that do it full time, and nothing against guys that do it part time, because horseshoeing's great, like the greatest part time job there's
Oh,
ever
yeah.
lived.
Yeah.
Like if you're a college kid and you want the very best job with the most flexible hours, shoe horses.
Shoe horses.
Trim horses, for hell's sakes.
Yep.
It's the greatest money, fastest, get it quick.
Yep.
There's always a need for it, always. But no, there's something to be said about guys that do it full time and are good at it, and good horsemen.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to be soft and gentle with things. One of the first guys I rode with, his name was Ty Gardner. You've never met a guy that was more gentle and could get around horses that were bad. And he was just kind of a little nimble guy and pet on them. They'd be snorting and all kinds of stuff, and he just kind of pet on them, get around them. You know, maybe not hot fit them or, you know, or lightly burn them or something. And like 3 or 4 shootings, those horses stood there like a rock because they just weren't scared of him.
Yeah.
He was so good. It was like it was a pleasant thing, you know?
Yeah.
I learned a lot from that guy because he's just
Cool.
super easy. Yeah. Like my apprentice right now, Cody, he never, like, sometimes I'm curious. I never want to get him hurt, but some of them that we sedate, sometimes I don't. And I let Cody see if he can go get the shoes off. But that dude's a horseman, you know? He's going to go climb under him, and he can read them so good. And you would not believe how many horses that he just gets the shoes off, no big deal. You know, it's just so easy for him.
Yeah.
And then I
think
sedate them for me to get them. No, want to make sure they
Cody
last for me. You
Cody
know.
whisper in their ear while you're underneath
Yeah.
them.
But yeah, he
that's
gets
funny.
by a lot of them. It's just his personality. He's so easy and quiet, and
Yeah.
you want that. You know, if you're a gruff guy that's just,
Go in there and muscle
I'll
them
do it
around.
whether you like it or not. Oh, you're gonna fight it.
It's a battle.
Yeah, every time. That's just like a horse trainer.
It's a battle for everybody.
Yeah,
the
everybody.
shoer,
Well,
and the
the-
owners watching.
The,
Yeah,
the
well,
owner's sitting there holding their horse. They're trying to be
owner
the
just
very
drags
best. They're
it.
like, please, just can you be a little softer? You
Yeah.
know, it's like this horse is not bad. He's been shod for 20 years now. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not gonna work.
No. Bryce, let's give something big away.
Ooh, yeah, you pick. What's big?
I don't know.
I have
A full grooming kit
Woo.
With a grooming
gloves.
with the grooming gloves. You'll get a 2-pack. Should we do a 2-pack?
Nah, I did just the grooming kit, so
all
just one.
three.
Yeah, all three.
All
just
three.
one. Yep.
So you're going to get a shampoo, conditioner, detangler, shedding brush. A BioMane brush, the tail bag, and our grooming gloves.
Oh, that's the full meal deal.
It's a full deal.
And some braiding.
Hot dog.
And
Oh,
some
I'll
braiding
throw
tape.
Some braiding tape. The 5-pack comes
Who's
in
it
a five,
going to?
Comes in a 5-pack, so it's a lot of tape.
Yeah.
All right, if you're in the chat, press 1. You have 30 seconds, and we're going to pick someone who types the number 1.
Go.
Ready to
Boom.
go.
Now we wait for 30 seconds.
That's a pretty good giveaway.
That's a big. That's a
great
good,
giveaway.
valuable giveaway. Good job.
Great giveaway.
So, all right.
Well, it's only par for the course. Great information's been given today. There's some. I think there's some farriers kind of reevaluating their life, and some
Yeah.
hopefully horse owners going, hopefully I'm not a bad
You
client.
know,
and
To the farriers right now, or to the clients, if you, anywhere in the country, I don't care where you are, if your farrier shows up on time, your horses are sound, they look good, and you're only paying $150, you are getting a steal. A steal. Anywhere in the country, it doesn't matter where you are, a steal. Take care of that guy. He's amazing. Before he quits you, give him a tip.
Yeah.
Say, hey, what's the new year price? You know, what can I help you with? What's what? Like, I want you to stay. Don't wait for him to say, hey, I'm gonna go to this other place because I can get a little more money and stuff like that. Because he's already checked out at that point. He's
Yeah.
not gonna stay with you, even if you're like, hey, I'm gonna give you an extra $100 a head.
He's already out.
Yeah.
Mentally.
I'm gonna tell you that. Like, I just want to help all the guys out there that are not getting a ton. You know, because I mean, some guys. I mean, there's guys in California right now that are laughing, or Texas, or Arizona, anywhere in the country. I mean, they get so much money everywhere now, but they're laughing like 150. I did that 10 years ago. You know, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys out there that are looking at it right now going like, man, 150. I get it. Like, everything's expensive right now in life.
Yeah.
But our shoes are going up. I mean,
Well, look at
everything goes up. Fuel,
That's what I was just going to say. Look
fuel,
at
propane. Propane's a huge thing for us right now.
Exactly.
You know, and
the
I'm
cost of fuel and propane, and they haven't gone up in price at all. Where
Yeah.
it's costing $30 a tank more to fill their truck than it
Yeah.
was 2 years ago. I mean, they're hundreds of bucks a week.
Yep, for
More,
sure.
and they're not
especially
making any
them
more.
guys like in Texas and stuff. Like, every time I go to Texas and I'm down there, I always think it's so funny. They'll be like, yeah, I live real close to them. It's like, they're an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
Those farriers will travel an hour and a
yeah.
half all the time.
Yep.
Well, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, that's a half a tank of fuel every day, you know,
Exactly.
or more.
Or
3/4 of
more.
a tank.
Yeah.
Depending on if you got a gas truck or a diesel truck, you know. So it's like, man, take care of yourself. Farriers, charge what you're worth.
Yeah.
You're worth it. And if you're don't think you're worth it, raise your rates on your voicemail. Like a ridiculous raise. Put a $50 or $100, $150 price tag on it if you're full already. And you'd be surprised how many people will say, yeah, when can you come?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I am worth it.
Yeah.
You betcha, I'm worth it. You know, and go with your local best guys and get better. Because once you get better, I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's such great business guys that are farriers, and they're like, listen, like, you got to have a way out too. I mean, this is backbreaking work.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got to be trying
There's
to
gotta
think
be
about
an end in
yourself.
mind.
Don't think that your clients are going to just carry you the rest of your life, because when you're done shoeing their horses, you're done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the
Yeah.
only way
get the money while you can right now. Take care of yourself. Save. You know, invest. Do things that you're supposed to do with your money. Have good tools. I mean,
Yeah.
do all that kind of stuff. But man, charge the money. Charge it.
A watered down joke I heard from one of my farriers up north. He's like, the only way I get paid the only way I ever get paid is if I'm bent over.
Oh yeah, just like a hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet you, bud.
How's your day going? Just like a hooker, only getting paid if I'm bent over.
Yeah, how many times I said that to you?
Every time you answer
Yeah,
your phone.
yeah.
And in
every
the background,
time.
I hear ting, 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 ting.
Man, it's just going.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny.
part of
Like I'm not super old now, but it's like it's only been the last couple of years that it's like finally it starts making sense. You know, and think about all the broken back time before that.
Oh, yeah.
That it didn't even. I wasn't really making any money. I just was kind of getting by just because what I charged and the driving and trying to get the clientele and everything like that. But
Well, and if you're young and already a shoer, want to be a shoer, and you're
Yeah.
in your teens or your 20s, bust your butt.
yep, your first
In your
10 years,
20s.
your first 10 years is just trying to establish and get you like hone your craft. You know.
Bust your butt.
Like I talk about going with Shane right now. My shaping is so much better than last year or the year before, or, you know, or the way that I do stuff. But it just takes so much time. It's such a process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think guys have to understand that. Like, yeah, you can be a badass. I know a kid in Utah right now he's killing it right now in the I forget what they call it, the WBCA or whatever. It's the the competition farriers. I should know that way better than I do, but I've been hearing his name from everybody. You know, he's just killing it right now. He's doing so good, and think what that guy's going to be in another 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, once he can really hone it, because he's only
Yeah.
been doing it for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, just bust your butt.
Yep.
Your first 10 years, I mean, hone it, make it amazing, and then that way, the next 10 years, because let's say 20 years of shoeing horses is pretty good.
Yeah.
The next 10 years, go make your money.
Yeah, for sure.
Do it. Try to make your money first, too. I mean, that's amazing. Go with the best guys
And
and
that's,
figure it out. But
20 years is a long time, too.
20 years is a long time on a back.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
help.
Guys,
Guys that don't have apprentices kill me. I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
remember
Like-
Travis Anderson?
Yeah.
He's been, over 20 years, same deal. He's been doing it for a
Yep.
long time and still doing it.
Yeah.
Same,
Shane-
and he is, yeah.
Shane, I think, is 61 or 2. And he won the world when he was 18.
Huh.
So he, I mean, that guy's dirty tough. You know what his theory is if he's afraid to stop because he doesn't want to get old and die.
Yeah.
So he's going to shoot horses till he dies. That's what he
Yeah.
says. Like, and he loves it. I mean, that guy's, he's a
makes-
freaking machine.
Makes money at it.
He's a machine. Funny little story about that. Like, I used to video him. He had no idea. I'd hurry and get done with what I'm doing, and he'd be over there like shaping a bar shoe, for instance, and he's really just thumping on this thing. And I'd zoom in on him, and I'd video him in slow motion to see how he swung his hammer.
Cool.
Because there's only a few humans in the whole world. Like, I could list them off that swing their hammer with such force like that does. He has such a sting on the end of it. It's like, it's unbelievable. He turns it in the air, it cuts through the air, and then just whop. Unbelievable. And I mean, it took me 5 years to figure out how to swing like that. I mean, think about team roping.
Oh, yeah.
Think about like living with Clay O'Brien Cooper, and you're just trying to learn how to swing like him.
Yep.
And you don't realize, you think you could just master in a year. It's not like that. Like, there's just so many little things that he adds a little extra, like, twist to it, you know? And he can just do it, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Sounds like he'd be a great golfer after one day.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Ding.
Telling you, that guy, he's a monster. He was on Forged in Fire, and they called him the human power hammer.
Really?
I mean, and he's not he's kind of built like you know, and just a little taller and skinnier kind of guy, and just thumps so hard.
Huh.
Yeah, them old guys, I don't see a lot of the new guys, like when I watch them on Facebook and stuff, hit like those old guys. There's a guy named Grant Moon. They talk about him busting hammers all the time.
Really?
Just like, don't borrow him a hammer because he's going to freaking break it. He's like, yeah, he's just this dirty, tough, big old guy that just can do it.
Huh.
Yeah, he's a man.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah. Craig Turnka came to Shane's house. That's another big name. He's a great competitor guy. He came to Shane's house, and they were building knives. He was one of the first guys that was on Forged in Fire. And I got to watch both of them.
That's the History Channel deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were both building these knives in Shane's shop, and it is like, those two were like legends, you know. Just,
Really?
like Jake and Clay.
Yeah.
Open. Like that's how I explain
The
it.
guys are back.
Oh my gosh, dude,
Dream
just
team.
legends. Yeah,
That's cool.
unreal. You know, some of those guys are just so amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Who won our giveaway? Forgot
All
about
right.
that.
Yeah, sorry, we went on
Sorry,
another
30
tangent.
seconds.
Sorry for the wait, but it is Chrissy Rounds.
Chrissy Rounds, you get a
Good
grooming
job.
kit. Shampoo, conditioner, detangler, mane and tail brush, tail bag, grooming gloves, and the braiding tape. DM us. Don't put your comments. Don't put your address in the comments.
Yeah, this
You'll
is not
get
farmers.
all-
This is not farmersonly.com.
Put it in the messages.
I haven't seen that in a long time. Old Farmers Only.
Oh, that's funny, man. I think we wrap up.
Yeah,
It's been great. Appreciate you having. We appreciate having you here.
yeah. Thanks for having me. Hopefully it helps a little bit. We didn't go on too many
No,
Oh, heck no.
dumb
I'm
tangents.
all about the tangents.
Yeah,
It's been great.
it's hard. Sometimes you don't get to voice your opinion on things. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice and
Well, and that's kind of the point of this is
Yeah,
to
like,
give guys
hey,
like you, like,
This is the scoop.
give it a platform.
sorry if you don't like it. I don't really care, but
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, whatever.
No, it's for the people that don't. That's fine because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that, I mean, I definitely learned different ways how to, maybe word things.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, there's going to be some
farriers are a
shearers
little
that are-
sensitive. You
Yeah,
got to be a
there's-
little careful with
There's
us.
going
You
to be
know.
some farriers
That's why
that
we
are
like to
pissed
joke.
off
That's why we
about
like to
it.
joke with ours. Hey, threw a shoe again. After
Oh,
2
man.
days.
There's going to
But
be
he
some
didn't.
that this pisses off that have been pissed off anyways.
Yeah,
There's-
they're always mad.
It's just
No,
like
it's
anything.
like that.
There's always, at every jackpot, at every barrel race, anything, there's always those guys that complain. They're going to complain whether they won or they lost. They're going to complain about something. You just know what's happening.
Oh, 100%.
You just don't care.
100%.
I quit caring.
It's like
We
me
put on
talking
enough
about
jackpots,
when
so
I
it's just
raised
like-
my rates this last year, and it was like the talk of the town for a minute there. Like, there's these guys have been shooting 10, 20 years more than me, that I'm making an extra $100 over,
Yeah.
and they just almost want to get mad about it. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, we've been doing this a lot longer.
Yeah,
think you're better
you
than
think
us?
you can just do this? Like,
It's like, dude, if I can get this,
why aren't you
should be
charging
able to get that.
double? Yeah, what are you doing?
Exactly.
And if you're not, and they won't pay it, shoot better,
Exactly.
be better,
Just do
be better.
Yeah.
You can always be better.
Yep.
Frickin', I'm not saying I'm the best, but I damn sure work at it every day.
Yeah.
Every day. So,
It's great advice.
yeah. Freaking try harder, people. Gosh, damn. Wake up a little earlier, try a little harder.
Go to bed a little later and put some effort into it.
Gosh, dang. Yeah. The good guys, isn't it funny? The good guys are always good. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what that Shane could do anything. He reminds me of Gordon Ramsay cooking.
Yeah.
Like, he is just like, sometimes it's hard for him to like let me do
Give him
stuff.
a duck and some pine tar, and he's going to
Oh,
make a good meal.
dude. That's how
I'm
Shane.
serious.
Shane,
I've never
luckily,
heard that.
he's crippled
I just
up
made it
enough
up.
now from getting in accidents. Gosh, he's crippled up enough now for being in accidents and stuff. But you want to talk about a guy that is so impatient?
Really?
You're sitting there, like I'll be sitting there doing stuff, and he's like watching me, and he's like, I could just tell it's just driving him nuts. It's like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, until you can get better, don't try.
Don't
you
even
know,
do it.
yeah, go
Don't
try
waste my
something.
time.
Don't waste my time. Yeah,
Don't
go do something
practice
else.
while I'm here.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Don't practice while I'm here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Practice on your own time.
yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
Guys, thanks for tuning in.
Make sure to share it. Leave comments.
Yeah. We like
Everything.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah,
Good
if you
or
guys
bad.
have questions about any of this kind of stuff,
Yeah, and we're trying to be really good about getting back to the comments, post
Yeah.
show, and when we do our edit and post them, we can forward questions to Nash,
Yeah.
and back and forth.
hey, if there's guys that ever wanted to come to Utah and come ride with us, come ride.
Yeah.
We're good. We'd love to take you, love to go places, come to the vet clinic, see how we do stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, that's even to the guys in Utah here. If you want to come to the vet clinic, we're there every Tuesday. I take care of the one up at Heritage in Ogden. I go
That's
there
South Valley.
Wednesdays. Yeah, that's South Valley. And that's probably our largest vet clinic in Utah.
Yeah.
And then Shane Carter and I am at the one in Saratoga Springs every Tuesday. If you want to come by, I mean, contact
Heaton.
us, reach out. Let's make this industry better.
oh yeah, 100%.
That's what we're for.
Yep.
Yep. Just like Fowden. Let's make it better.
Exactly.
You know?
do better, be better, and
Try a little harder.
Do you have
That's the
that's Fowden to a T.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't win the roping? Should have wrote better.
yeah, should have wrote better.
It's the truth.
Yeah, it's not lying. That's how
Yeah.
Shane is. Same thing.
Just
Well.
do better.
Maybe next time you won't lose. Yeah. Seriously.
Where can people find you on social media?
My name's Nash Nelson. I got a Facebook. I don't know.
We're gonna help you with some
You're
social
such a horseshoe.
Yeah, okay, we'll have Bryce help you with some social media.
We'll tag.
setups.
My wife wants me to make a page so bad because I helped Shane do a PowerPoint this year he went to a big convention and he did a big talk about what we do, and my wife's like, you got to get an Instagram. You got to get something to show people like, hey, we can. Like, there's so many horses have been put down that it's like, man, you could have maybe got a couple more years out, or maybe not, but maybe a couple more years just by, more knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
Dude,
we're kind of I shouldn't say we're pioneers to it, but we're down to try new things.
Yeah.
We're always trying something. It's amazing. I wish we had some pictures of, like, we have a horse right now that's in a reverse shoe with 6 degrees of wedge, and we've almost taken him out of the degree of wedge every time. And he had some deep digital flexor, problems and stuff, and we just been pulling him down. And I mean, that horse's foot's totally coming back, but the toe was so long that we couldn't figure it out, and it would get so flat. And it was a Western Pleasure horse, and now we finally, I mean, it's been almost a year, but we've got that thing coming back now, and it's awesome. It foundered a little bit, had a little laminitic episode there too, and it's like, man, I wish people could see some of that.
Yeah.
Because it is way cool.
Yeah.
All this talk about corrective shoeing makes me want to get some orthopedic shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help my feet feel a little better.
I think an account, like, I love watching on, whether it's Instagram stories or on YouTube, I will watch shoeing videos.
Yeah, it's cool.
Not necessarily going into it like I'm going to start shoeing, but
It's therapeutic.
I like it. I really like it. And I think
it's even the competitors, man. You go watch them.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can post.
They're so cool.
And get
Them
a
guys
really
are
good
so
following.
talented.
Yeah.
In every way. I mean, they can, just like we try to practice roping, they practice shoeing. I mean, it is constant. It's what they think about, what they do.
That's cool.
That's why they deserve more.
Yeah, that's why they deserve more. Those competition
exactly right,
farriers,
yeah.
they put a lot of effort into life.
Yep.
Yeah, they're trying hard.
We'll tag Nash on our social media so you can contact him via social media.
Yeah.
I think round 2 is going to be coming up here.
Yeah, we might do another one of these with you.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Do it.
Okay.
Love it.
Thanks, guys. This
Thank
has been
you.
the BioMane Scoop.
Have a good day.
Yep.